sir. Have a seat.
Ms. Herbert, this is your daughter.
Yes.
And you're suing her for some loans that you made to her. One is for car payment and one because she got a whole lot of parking tickets that prevented her from having a valid driver's license.
Correct.
Your daughter said that you helped her out because she needed it. There was never any discussion of paying you back for the two payments that offenses. And that you are just annoyed at her at this point because she and her husband are reconciling. Is that?
It's my son's father, but yes.
So it's not your husband?
No, we're not married.
How long have the two of you been separated?
Off and on for 8 years.
And how old is your son?
7.
Have you been off and on with him because of issues?
Yes.
Any issues involve domestic violence?
Not really.
What does that mean, not really?
He would go out and drink and party and not come home, and then we would fight over that, but it was never violent towards me.
Just basically nasty drunk?
Yes.
How many times did that happen? Many times?
Yeah.
How old is he?
33.
What does he do?
He paints.
Houses or canvases?
No, new construction homes.
Are you together now?
He's currently incarcerated.
He's incarcerated for what?
Selling drugs.
I don't know what I would do if I were your mother. I would certainly be pretty upset.
I am.
I would certainly be pretty upset. Did you ever see a skunk become a zebra?
No, ma'am.
Did you ever see a duck turn into a poodle?
No.
Doesn't happen. This guy's never going to become a poodle.
I know.
And the longer you pin your coattails to this loser, the longer it's going to be before you have a chance to have a life for yourself. Your son has a chance to have a reasonable role model to grow up with. And your mother can start sleeping again. Who got the parking tickets?
It was me. They're not parking tickets. They are driving violations for driving without a valid driver's license.
And that would be you that got them?
Mm-hmm.
How many did you get?
4.
Your mother wasn't in the car with you, was she?
No.
Was your son in the car?
Once.
Was the boyfriend in the car?
No.
Why were you driving without a valid driver's license?
Because I had to go to work.
Why didn't you have a valid driver's license to begin with?
They suspended it.
For what?
Failure to pay a fine.
What kind of fine?
Disorderly conduct.
Discon. Discon is something usually that you plead down to from something else. What were you arrested for?
I wasn't arrested. I was with my son's father, and he was.
You were with your son's father. He was arrested. Who made a fuss when he was arrested?
I did.
That would be you. The picture comes clear. There are no new stories under the sun, only a new face now and then. So you became belligerent with the police?
Not exactly.
With whom?
I got the disorderly conduct because I was using profanity.
Towards whom?
Just the situation in general.
And where was your son?
With my father.
So he wasn't with you?
No.
Perfect. Be grateful for small things. Well, Miss Gardner, you have to pay for your own tickets. They're your tickets. Your mother laid out the money? Mm-hmm. Great. You have to pay for them. That's your punishment. This isn't like a loan to go out and buy a loaf of bread. This is, you drive with a suspended license. That's a crime. That's a violation of our rules, of our civilized rules. So nobody else does your time for you. Your fines are your time. We say, we're not going to put you in jail or put you in the stocks. We're just going to let you pay a fine. But it's your fine. You don't like the fine? Don't do the crime. Don't use profanity in the street. Don't take a plea to disorderly conduct and say you'll pay the fine in lieu of going to jail and then not pay the fine. Me, I would have hauled your carcass back and said, do 5 days. How much were the fines?
The fine totals were $1,893.
Did you pay them all?
Yes, I did.
Now, you also payments for your daughter.
Total, it was 4 months.
I had December, January, and February.
Okay. It was November also, yes.
Did you make a payment in November?
Mm-hmm.
Show me.
I gave my mother cash. I didn't ask for a receipt because it's my mom.
Is that how you usually paid her?
Mm-hmm.
By giving her cash?
Yep.
Did you pay in December?
No.
January?
I asked her for December. I was joking around and said, why don't you pay the car payment for December and January as my Christmas present? And she said, okay. After January, I started to pay the car payment again, and it wasn't brought up in even an issue until she found out I was talking to my son's father on the phone.
Okay. Well, you owe your mother 3 months' worth of car payments. How much are your car payments?
It's $300 with the car payment and the car insurance.
Well, $1,893 and $900 is $2,700. You're only suing her for $2,405. Did she make any payments to you?
No.
Well, then you're actually not suing her for enough money. But that's your lawsuit. The money for the tickets is clear, $1,893. The car payments, you acknowledge that you didn't make payments. I don't believe that they were a gift. Did you tell your mother that you had lots of other bills to pay? Mm-hmm. You owe her $2,400. Be smart. He's in jail. Let him stay in jail. And when he comes out, you have a responsibility. You have a child. Has your child been around him when he comes home drunk? Yeah. Not fair. You don't visit your lack of good judgment on your child. He had no choice. You picked this miscreant to become involved with. But it's not fair for him to grow up in the kind of a household where he's got a father who's either drunk or incarcerated. Because if he's incarcerated for drugs now, it's not the first time he got caught selling drugs. And it's certainly not the first time he sold them. And you don't want that around you. And if you would like to be with him, which, you know, sometimes women can't escape. Sometimes they're just addicted. And maybe you're not a nice girl either. I don't know. However, if that's the case, let your mother raise him. Let your mother raise him. And you can go off with him and live a happy life, but at least you have a child who would have a stable place to live. And not a lot of screaming and yelling and drunk and drugs and the kind of people that brings around the house. So you want to live a selfish life with this bum, that's up to you. Let your mother have your son. That's easy. Because you want to know what's going to happen? If it keeps happening, she's going to call Child Protective Services, and they're going to take him away from you. Then you won't have a choice. That's what happens. It's not an unusual story. Goodbye.
Please excuse, you may step out.
Well, I just hope this brings a wake-up call to my daughter.
Don't borrow money from your family.
I hope she's learned from this.
I didn't owe her the money. She says I did.
I've done everything I can to try and help her.
I wouldn't have borrowed it if I knew I had to pay it back.
The only thing I ever wanted for my children was for them to be happy, healthy.
It didn't start till my son's father was involved.
She's right.
She just doesn't want me with him.
He is nothing to me.
I just want to raise my kid.
I want what's best for my daughter and my grandson.
I hope we get it worked out.
Seated, sir. Have a seat.
Mr. Combs, how are you related to Miss Morgan?
She's my sister.
You had a nice relationship with her?
Yes.
Tell me what happened with your car.
With my vehicle or Tracy's vehicle?
With your, how old are you?
I'm 21.
Where do you live?
Leonardtown in Maryland.
Is that in the middle of a big city?
No, it's actually a country.
So you need a vehicle
Yes.
to get from one place to another.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, prior to you being involved with your sister and this car that's in question, what kind of a car did you have?
Chevy S10.
And what happened to that car?
The transmission was going in it. I was losing gears one by one.
And what did you do with it?
I had given it to Tracy as a trade-in because I had no use
Just
for
a
it.
second. You gave it to Tracy, to your sister, for a trade-in.
Yes.
When did you do that?
I want to say September, around in September in 2010.
And what did she trade it in for?
To my understanding, was a Ford Taurus for her fiancé.
Okay. So after the Chevy S10, what did you use to get around?
I'd used Tracy's car from here and there. I'd used my my aunt's vehicle, and then I used my dad's vehicle from here and there as well.
Your Honor, he used the vehicle the whole time. I never driven it.
That's a lie. It's Tracy's vehicle.
Why don't you tell me, Miss Morgan, because this story that I'm getting from him is not satisfactory to me. I'm not hearing it right. You gave your sister a car that was worthless so that she could use it as a trade-in for something else. And at about the same time, you started using her car. What kind of car was her car?
It was a Ford Taurus.
When was it purchased?
I'm believing around in September when I'd given her.
About the same time that you gave her the non-functioning truck.
Yes, because I was just gonna trash it.
Now you had no car because trash, and about that same time got a car, a Ford Taurus.
Yes, her fiance got that car.
Your Honor.
Just a second. In the month of September, very easy to find out, who drove the car? No, look here, not there.
Okay.
In the month of September, right after it was purchased, who drove the car?
Well, right after it was purchased, I drove it to
That's right. Right after it was purchased, you drove it.
Well, because Tracy was up there in her vehicle, and I rode up there with her in her vehicle, so there was no way she could drive two vehicles down the road.
Now, you drove it, and where did you drive it to?
The mall to meet Tracy for dinner at the time.
And how did you get home?
I drove Tracy's vehicle to my house
You
because I did not have a
drove
vehicle.
the Taurus.
Yes, I
You
drove
drove the Taurus.
Yes.
Okay, Miss Morgan. Here we go. Ford Taurus. When was it purchased?
The Ford Taurus was purchased in September.
Tell me about it.
My brother called me and said he was unable to get a car in his name and asked for my assistance because no one else was willing to help him, which I did. I have proof of everything I'm telling you.
I would like to see the start of it.
Okay. This is a proof of the purchase of the vehicle, the trade-in, and it's also showing the insurance with Progressive, which I've never had insurance with them. So that was Sean's.
For the S10, Your Honor. I had insurance through Progressive with them. I'd canceled it when I gave Tracy the trash vehicle.
Who insured the Ford Taurus?
The insurance was underneath my name with MAFE, and I do have a paper showing that Sean was the driver on it.
I'd like to see it.
I also have a paper.
Okay. Your name is clearly listed in this as a driver of the car.
As a driver.
I said as a driver.
Yes, Your Honor.
Who was the driver who was driving the car, sir, when it was totaled?
I was headed
Perfect. So you were the driver driving the car when it was destroyed.
Yes, Your Honor.
And the problem is that the insurance company, because there was insurance on the vehicle, who paid for the insurance?
Sean.
No, I didn't, Your Honor. I was listed as a driver. It was not my policy.
I didn't ask you if it was your policy or her policy. I said who paid for the insurance on the Taurus?
Sean paid for the insurance on the Taurus.
How?
With his own money. I had no means of doing it because I was not driving
I'm asking you, did he send money directly to the insurance company?
He went to the insurance company himself and made the payments.
Is there any proof?
Just a second. I can easily find that out. Is what you're saying to me, sir? I mean, you're a man who has a job.
Yes.
You're a man who has an employer.
Yes.
And you don't want the employer, if I go back and call the insurance company and go through the payment history as to how the payments were made, because they will do that, because she will give permission to do that.
Policy.
For whatever policy this was, as to who made the payments to the insurance company. Very easy. They'll give me the information. I don't like to waste my time, and I don't necessarily have to embarrass people. My question to you is, who paid the insurance on the Taurus?
I'm not sure. I did not pay it.
Just a second. So what you're telling me is you never paid for the insurance on the Taurus at any time that you drove the car?
No, I have no documents.
I didn't ask you about documents.
Your Honor, can we
I wouldn't listen to me. You have a job, you have an employer. I'm going to tell you, employers don't like to see their employees, no matter what they do, getting caught in a lie that's easily discoverable, because then they think their employees are stupid. I didn't ask you whether there's proof. I asked you whether you ever paid for the insurance on the Taurus.
No, Your Honor.
Your Honor, I do have bank statements showing that nothing was taken time.
I'm not finished with him.
I never made any payments, Your Honor.
I don't believe you.
Okay, I didn't make any payments.
I don't believe you. In any event, you had an accident with the car.
Yes, Your Honor.
And the car was destroyed.
Yes.
And there was $1,000 that wasn't covered under the loan.
I believe so, yes.
Well, who's supposed to absorb that loss?
The owner of the vehicle.
No! The person that totaled it.
Well, to my
The person that totaled it. Not the person who has to bear the responsibility of it. The person who caused the accident and totaled it.
But not for borrowing a car, Your Honor.
Oh, why not?
Well, if I borrowed your car and I totaled it, would it be my responsibility to pay for yours?
Absolutely right. No, who is it going to be? His responsibility?
I believe it would be yours because you're the owner of the vehicle.
No, my dear. That's why you have a court. Because in a court, what we try to do is, even if I believe you, which I don't, that I know your sister's story. Your sister's story is you needed a car, you couldn't get credit on your own, so she agreed to sign for the car for you. You were going to make the payments on the car. It was
Is there
your
a written
car.
agreement of that?
Hey, I'm speaking. You already, as far as if I were your sister, you would be off my radar, off my family radar. Now, all you're doing is demonstrating to 10 million people that you're not only not bright, which is what you're telling me, because all you're saying to me is you have no proof. There is proof, sir. You were driving the car, caused an accident, and totaled it. The person who has to bear the financial loss of that is the person whose responsibility is. That's what life is about, accepting responsibility. Whether you borrowed it or whether it was really your car really is irrelevant. She's out $1,000 because of your actions. It's as simple as that.
Well, it wasn't my vehicle, Your Honor.
Don't you see how stupid you sound?
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Tracy Morgan says her brother Sean Combs wrecked a car she helped him buy, and he refuses to have it repaired. Sean says Tracy owns the car, so she should fix it.
Okay, let's say you're driving your car across a bridge, and you swerve, and you hit the bridge, and you cause the bridge to buckle. And the bridge requires $10,000 to fix it. And you're hauled before a judge, and you say, I don't have to fix it. It's not my bridge.
It should be covered through your insurance.
It belongs to the state. It's the state's bridge. Let the state fix the bridge. And the judge would say to you, what are you, a fool? You broke the bridge. You have to fix the bridge. Why? It's not my bridge. I was just riding over it. Do you understand how ridiculous that sounds, sir? It's not my car. I was just borrowing it. You borrowed it. You destroyed it. Somebody has to bear the fiscal responsibility of any loss. Why should it be the person who wasn't even there?
Because it's our vehicle.
Do you have children?
If someone
do you have children?
Yes, Your Honor.
How many?
One.
You have enough.
I believe so, too.
You have enough. Judging for the plaintiff for the amount of $1,000. That's all.
It wasn't my vehicle, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I think Judge Judy did a great job, and like the people in the audience says, he is a bag.
I don't think it was right. It wasn't my vehicle.
That's just ridiculous. Regardless if it's his car or not, he totaled it. He needs to pay for it.
It's probably going to be rocky, at the dinner table, next Christmas, something like that, but, life goes on.
It put a little bit of strain on us, but I have other siblings.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Erdman Taus versus Kudala. Step forward, please.
22-year-olds Erica Erdman and Morgan Taus are suing their former roommate, 22-year-old Lee Kutala, for unpaid rent and utility bills after he broke the lease.
Okay, we're going to start with you. You were the third roommate on a lease that you signed with these two young ladies. Is that correct?
That is correct.
When did you sign the lease?
August 2011.
And what was the term of the lease?
A year.
You moved in August or in September?
I moved my stuff down there in September.
When did you move out?
I moved all my stuff out at the end of September. Or a couple months after.
Month and year you moved your stuff out?
September 2011.
What do you do?
Carpentry.
Listen to me carefully.
Okay.
You signed a lease in August.
Yes.
You moved in September. When did you move out?
The same month.
Why?
I couldn't afford it. I wasn't the right spot.
You were there
Yes.
in October.
Okay. Yes, I was, I guess. Yeah, it was October when I moved out. Not very good with dates.
Do you take any drugs?
No.
Prescribed or otherwise?
No.
How old are you?
22.
You were going to school when you signed the lease.
Yes. I was signed up for school.
What school were you going to?
Lake Superior College.
And you had financial aid. I read the papers. You had financial aid.
Until I got a DWI and I lost my student loans.
Because you acted like an idiot.
Yes.
Right. And in what month did you act like an idiot?
The same month I signed my lease.
August or September?
August.
And tell me about it.
The DWI or the...
Yes.
Happened on Vermilion. It was on a boat. It was a BUI.
Yes.
And I moved out right after. I couldn't afford it. I had to move home.
Great. And how do you expect them to pay the rent?
Well, it says in the lease that I have evidence here that says if someone moves out, that the other two are responsible for finding a new roommate. Paid for 4 months, and I told them the first month I was moving out. So I figured...
What 4 months did you pay for?
August, September, October, November.
Now, that would make you reasonable.
Yeah, I gave
if you
them time.
told them in September that you couldn't move in, but
Yes.
you paid them for September, October, November.
Yes.
Did you have a party there?
There was parties there.
Did you have a party
Yes,
there?
yes.
What month did you have a party there?
It was on Halloween.
Halloween is the end of October.
Yeah, that's...
So that you were still there the end of October. So you weren't being a nice guy. You were there the end of October, still living there if you had a party there, because you also, during this party, according to what I read, trashed the house. I couldn't move in because I couldn't afford it, but I said to them, I'm going to pay you for 4 months, September, October, November, and December, even though I'm not living there, and I'm going to give you 4 months to find a roommate. I wouldn't look at you as if you were a fool. But what you did was, you were there, and not only were you there, you trashed the place at your Halloween party. Now, were they home for the Halloween party?
No.
How did you get in to the house?
The key?
So you had a key in October.
Yes.
So then you weren't out the beginning of September or in August if you had a key.
Yeah. It was the end of the month.
Into what month?
October. Right after
Well,
the party.
October. Listen to me. Listen to me. Did you think this was going to be easy?
No.
Good. What you told me a moment ago is that you had a boating while intoxicated accident
Yes.
or ticket or fine in August, and therefore you lost your financial aid, and you told them the beginning of September that you had to move home because you weren't going to be able to go to school. That's what you just told me. That turns out to be a lie. Because by the end of October, you still had access to the house, still had a key, and invited people over to the house when they weren't home.
Okay.
What are you looking at him for? He's not going to help you.
I wasn't looking
I want to tell you, well, you're looking over something over there. Since Officer Byrd is the only thing over there, I assume you were looking at him. The landlord let you out of your lease early? In what month did he let you out of the lease?
We're moving out at the end of May.
Tell me what efforts you made to try to find another roommate for the months of December, January, February, March, April, and May. 6 months.
We posted twice. We posted ads on Craigslist looking for roommates, and then we put up flyers around our school. We got some replies.
You have any copies of those? I'd like to see them. Did you get some answers?
Yes.
And what happened?
They came and looked at the place, but then they informed us that they were looking at other places that were actually closer to the schools.
Did you graduate this year?
No. I saw 2 years left, but it was my 4th year.
And you?
I have 1 year left.
And what efforts did you make to find a roommate to take your place?
I didn't do anything. It says in the lease that they're responsible.
Now I'd like to take a look at the lease. I'm curious, since you brought it, and I like people who bring evidence, especially when they don't have anything else. Should somebody move out, the other people who are left are still responsible for paying the entire rent and for finding a replacement tenant, okay? Because they figured that the person who was breaking the lease isn't going to find a replacement tenant. That would be you.
Yes.
So they exercised some effort to find a roommate. They couldn't find a roommate. Why should they be stuck with your third of the rent? $325 for 6 months.
They have guys over there every night. It's not, why don't some of them pay for it? It's like a brothel house. I mean, pick and choose who you want. Shouldn't be that hard.
Are you working now?
Yeah.
Great. Who do you work for?
Kutula Brothers Construction. And
is that your family business?
Yep.
Yes would be an answer. And if you were smart, you'd work during the day and go back to night school. Believe me, it will stand you in good stead for the rest of your life.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes.
You need it. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $19.50. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I don't owe them any money. I don't see how I should.
I think it's good. We deserved it.
I agree. I think it's really good that he's paying us back then and that she kind of made him look like an idiot.
It's in the lease, so they have to find a roommate.
There's actually a sentence under that says if the place isn't released, that the person who moved out is responsible for paying their part of the rent.
Wow, you try to live with 2 girls.
He was an alcoholic, always partying all the time, wasn't responsible, couldn't hold up his own.
Well, I just had random guys over there all the time.
We never had random guys over.
Erica grabbed me inappropriately, and I just had to get out of there.
I don't know what he's talking about. It's crazy.
Just not alike.
He's trying to make himself look good, which he obviously can't.
I haven't talked to him.
Definitely know who you're living with. Don't live with an alcoholic.
Don't live with 2 girls.
They have been sworn in. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat.
Mr. Sykes, I'm going to start with you, sir. You and Mr. Haven were in a relationship?
Yes, ma'am.
And at some point, Mr. Haven needed some money for some treatment that she required because she was diagnosed with breast cancer. Is that correct?
Correct.
That's what you said.
That's correct at this point.
I want you to be quiet and just listen to me. At some point, according to you and according to her, she asked you if you would sell some of her jewelry.
Correct.
And you agreed to help her sell that jewelry.
That's correct.
I want you to describe the jewelry to me, sir. Let's start with how many pieces were there. What were they?
One is a gold bracelet. One was...
Let's go slowly. I write slowly. I don't take shorthand. One is a gold bracelet.
Mm-hmm. And the other 2 are wedding rings.
Now, the wedding rings, were they gold wedding rings? Gold and stone?
Yes. Well, one of them was severely damaged.
Was it gold and diamonds, gold and rubies, gold?
Gold and stone. Just like you said. Gold.
What kind of stones? There are all kinds of stones.
Just the wedding ring with the gold band and the diamond in the middle.
One diamond?
Right.
How big?
I would have no idea. I've never been married, and I've never purchased one.
Okay, I assume you have all that information.
Yes.
Eventually, what happened was you went and gave them to a consignment shop.
That's correct.
And got some cash.
That's correct.
And didn't give the cash to Mr. Haven, because according to your answer, you believe that she owed you some money for some work that you had done, so you kept that money to pay off her debt.
That's correct.
Are you nuts? What kind of work do you do?
I do all kinds of things, but I'm self-employed.
Not all kinds. You're a doctor, a dentist, a lawyer, a plumber. What kind of work do you do?
I'm self-employed.
What do you do? Self-employed
entrepreneur.
is not a job. You can be a self-employed architect. You can be a self-employed Numismology, is that the right way to pronounce that word?
I'm
Whatever.
glad you said it.
You can do a lot of things in being self-employed, sir, but you can't be self-employed as a vocation.
Right.
So what do you do? Numismatist.
Self-employed contractor.
What?
Contractor.
I don't know what that means.
I come work on your house.
Why does that have a question to it, Mr. Sykes? You're not coming to work on my house, if that was a question.
But I worked on her house.
I want to know what you do.
I fix anything that has to do inside of your dwelling.
Fine. So you're a handyman.
Okay.
Now, when Miss DeHaven gave you this jewelry to sell, I want you to tell me, when she turned it over to you, what the discussion was with regard to the jewelry.
Okay. Prior to her diagnosis with her medical...
Pay attention to my question.
I'm paying attention.
Pay attention to the question.
It was...
Prior to her giving you the jewelry, I want you to tell me what the discussion was about the jewelry.
Okay. One morning, she flips open the jewelry box and fishes some stuff out because this stuff's been sitting here for 5 or 7 years. I don't need this. Just try to sell it for me because I could use the money to pay some bills off.
Great.
So I made lots of attempts.
Just a second. Just a second. Okay. Perfectly reasonable. And I believe you.
Okay.
And you made many attempts to sell it.
That's correct.
You still had it in your possession.
That's correct.
When did you decide to pawn it?
When I put it in a consignment shop and let them hold on to it for a while.
Don't give you money, sir. Pawn shops do. Consignment shops, you turn over your thing to them. They call you up when somebody makes them an offer to purchase it. But a consignment shop does not give you money.
That's,
so you got to
that's true.
Don't tell me it's true. I don't need you to tell me that I'm right.
Okay.
I know that I'm right. I was wrong in 1946. Last time.
Understand.
Carefully. Answer my question. When did you decide to put it in a pawn shop? Not a consignment shop, but a pawn shop.
March.
March of 2012.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have a discussion with Miss DeHaven before you did that?
At that point in time, we were not speaking anymore.
So you were out of relationship.
Correct.
So you just pawned it and decided to keep the money for yourself, money that you thought she owed you.
That's correct.
This is not Western vigilante justice, Mr. Sykes. Okay. You can't decide to take someone's property because you think that they owe you money. If you think that they owe you money, what you do is go to court and say you owe me money because I'm a handyman and I fixed your toilet and I fixed your screen door. I'm not finished with what you fixed, Mr. Sykes. You fixed a toilet, you fixed a screen door, you maybe put some putty around a pipe. And for all those things, I think that you owe me a couple of $1,000s. So right now I have your property, and I am taking your property, and now you come against me for your property. You can't do that. People don't resort to self-help. Otherwise, we'd have a lot of people on death row. Do you understand?
Yes.
What's the name of the pawn shop? Don't look over there. Look over here. What's the name of the pawn shop, and where is it located?
Hilltop Pawn in Virginia Beach, Virginia.
Now, is this the first time that you had been to this pawn shop?
Yes, ma'am.
How did you find it?
They had a TV commercial on saying that they specialize in selling used jewelry.
You remember the name of the person you dealt with?
No.
You have a receipt for the jewelry from there?
No.
What do you mean, no? You think I believe you?
No.
What do you mean you don't have a receipt? You mean you took your stuff to a pawn shop? They gave you, according to you, $1,000, and they didn't give you a receipt?
They gave me a ticket. I don't have it with me, and I don't know where.
Well, where did you think you were coming today? To a circus?
No. No.
Have anything else that you want to tell me, Mr. Sykes? You do understand that I'm not crazy about you.
At this
I'm not
juncture in
crazy
time,
about your position, and I'm not crazy about the story that you're telling me either.
Okay. The only thing that I want to add to this is that prior to Ms. DeHaven coming down with the circumstances medically she has now, she gave me the jewelry free and willingly to just sell it at my leisure and make different attempts to try to do it. And I made different attempts to do it.
She didn't give you the jewelry, sir. She gave you the jewelry for the purpose of selling it and giving her back the money.
That is correct.
Well, you didn't do that.
But then when all of these other circumstances arose, that's when she said, I need some money right now. And so I said, I will get you the money back, but it's not going to be today. And that's why she pursued legal avenues. That's
talking about, Mr. Sykes, you're double talking me.
No.
Either you sold it and gave it to a pawn shop.
Well, the facts are the facts. I'm not going to debate that.
Well,
you're right.
Well, then what's your defense? I'm trying to figure out what your defense is.
Because my intent was to get it back to her, to give the money back, or to get the jewelry back to her. But it just can't happen in a snap.
Great. Take off your watch. Take off your watch. Give it to Bird. Nice ring. Take it off. Give it to Bird.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Cheryl DeHaven says ex-boyfriend Barry Sykes sold her jewelry at her request, but never turned over the proceeds.
Okay. Oh, well, you're not going to get a whole bunch for the citizens. And you're not going to get much for a 10-carat high school ring. Is this high school or junior high school?
College?
Oh. It says college. Look at that. Can I see receipts for the jewelry? Pictures of the jewelry? Any proof of what this jewelry looked like? Because he has no defense. His defense is, I ate the money. Oh, I see what it is. Okay, nice. And the bracelet? What kind of bracelet? Are you talking about the little pearl bracelet?
It's on the picture where I'm wearing black. It's hard to see it.
Well, I can hardly actually see that. Is it just a plain gold bracelet? Is that what it is?
No, it has diamonds.
Where did you get the bracelet?
It was a gift.
Okay. Now, for my information, how much were you hoping to get for this jewelry?
I was hoping to get at least half its value.
And what is half its value?
It's about $5,000.
Half its value is $5,000? No. Half its value is maybe $2,500. That's half its value. And you might be able to get that because when it was bought a while ago. Gold is up and you may be able to get it.
I was hoping to get that. I was hoping it would be valued at that.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy's correct in every statement that she made.
I won, so that's the good part.
My intention was to retrieve the jewelry items and return them to Ms. DeHaven.
Once my diagnosis happened, it became immediate that I needed the money for my medical bills.
It couldn't be overnight when she said, I have to have them back now.
The lies that were told.
I was unemployed and I needed some money to live off of, so that's why I did what I did.
I've learned stuff today that I didn't even know.
Was it wrong? Yes, it was. Will I own that mistake? Yes, I will.
Unfortunately, it's hard to trust people.
You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Ms. Newman, this used to be your boyfriend, according to your complaint, and you say that he vandalized your car with you in it. He had a hissy fit over something. His defense is that you're nuts and it never happened. So why don't you tell me what you recall of the events of the evening of June 8th?
We went to a party, his sister, his friend, as we went to my friend's party, and it was almost 2. We went to the store to get more beer because we ran out. They asked me to drive.
Listen to me, slowly, like it's not something you memorized.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
The night of June 8th, you were at a party, and it's 2 o'clock and you wanted some more beer. You hadn't had enough. Who was driving?
I was.
And you had been drinking?
No, ma'am.
So you hadn't been drinking at all?
No, ma'am.
Great. So you were just taking them out for a beer run?
No, my friend actually asked me to go, and Brandon went with us. My friend was going to pay for the beer. It was 5 minutes before 2. The gas station's right down the street. My friend and Brandon walked into the gas station. He asked the guy, is it too late to get beer? And I guess Brandon walked out with 2 cases to try to get in my car. I said, you're not getting in my car.
Why would you not let him in your car?
Because he stole the beer.
How did you know that?
Because my friend was still sitting there trying to talk to the dude. And he walked out and he said, I tried to pay for it. Brandon walked out with it. So I would not let him in my car.
Okay. Mr. Young, on June 8th, did you take the 2 cases of beer?
No, I did not go and steal any beer. I went and purchased it right up at the front desk like a normal person would.
Great. Who purchased it?
I do believe it was a Shell.
And it's located where?
Colton, I do believe.
Is that right?
It's in Grand Terrace. It was a Shell gas station, though.
No, he didn't get in the car.
I wouldn't let him get in my car.
And where did you go?
I went back to the party after me and my friend talked to the owner of the place and asked if we could pay for the beer. He said no, he didn't want that. He was just going to call the cops. So we went back to the party, me and my friend, and his friend was still in my car, passed out sleeping like he was through the whole party.
So you actually spoke to the owner of the Shell station,
yes,
or the person who was working there that night?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, Mr. Young, so if I were to contact the Shell station and ask them whether someone had taken a couple of cases of beer on the 8th of June, they would, of course, tell me no.
Yeah, they would tell you no.
Okay, so you went back to the party, and?
He showed back up because it's like 2 streets away. I told him he had to leave. His friend left with him. I tried to get his sister.
Which friend? That would be you?
Yes, ma'am.
You left with him?
Yes.
Were you with him when he got the beer at the Shell station?
Yes, I was.
Okay, great. You can step outside for a moment. I'll call you back in a minute. Okay, so go ahead.
His friend was asleep the whole time in the car when this happened, but I asked his sister to leave with him. I didn't want any part of his sister either because his sister had been drinking and gets a little crazy when she drinks. She would not leave. She said she was not going to leave Azzy there. So I waited for like an hour at the party, and then I took Azzy and her home because they live like a street away from each other.
You took who home?
Azzy and his sister.
Okay. Go ahead.
And then we went by his house. He was not there. His sister asked me to go and look for him, so I drove right down the street. That's where he was. I turned around, let her out. She stood in front of my car on a railroad track, would not let me leave. So then he came to my car. He swung at me. He missed. He tried to pull my keys out of ignition. Instead, he pulled the windshield wiper thing where you turn it on and off all the way out. And then he bent my windshield wiper all the way. So I had to drive home at 3 o'clock in the morning with my windshield wipers on and off. Going on and off. They would not turn off.
Okay, now I'll hear you.
Alrighty then. So beginning of the day started off. We all went out to the beach, had a good time.
Not interested.
All right. So we went.
Not interested.
Bought beer.
Now I'm going to tell you where we're going to pick up. We're going to pick up when she wouldn't let you in the car at the Shell station.
Well, she did let me in her car. She backed up right into a pump at the Shell station, turned around the corner, went to the bus stop where I was sitting at. She picked me up.
Just a second. Wait. Now, she had come to the Shell station with you in the car.
Yes.
But she left with you not in the car.
Yes.
What would be the reason for that?
I don't know. It was all up to her. She was the one driving.
No, I'm just asking you. She took you there to get beer. According to you, you got beer.
Yep.
And paid for it. Mm-hmm. So it would be normal for you to get back in the same car.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So is there any reason that you can think of why she took off, leaving you there with the beer that you had just purchased?
Because recently during the day, we have been arguing all day about how I do not want to be with her anymore. Even though I was not her boyfriend, we were having sexual relationship together, just giving the dog a bone.
I'm asking you, she took you to get beer.
Yep.
You weren't having a fight in the car. There was no fight in the car.
Yeah, but we were arguing all day.
I don't care if you were arguing all day. You weren't fighting in the car, and she was doing you a favor to take you to get more beer.
Yeah.
Now she's there with you. She's got your drunk boyfriend in the car, passed out in the back, so he's actually useless as a witness. I don't know why you brought him here, maybe for some comic relief.
No, well, because she says I damaged her car. He was with me. He walked home with me.
No. He was drunk, according to her. According to you, he was drunk.
Yeah.
Right. So you can't really think of a logical reason why she would have taken off from the gas station.
We're all pretty drunk.
She gets mad. Including her.
Yeah, including her. We were all drinking.
Okay.
So Azzy over here, my little sister right here, me and myself, and my friend Raymond.
Try not to talk over me.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, it doesn't work to talk over me anyway. They just cut your mic off. Then you look stupid standing there moving your mouth and nothing comes out.
Yeah.
I'm really good at making you look stupid. If you want to act stupid, I can really give you a boost up.
Sweet.
Easy. It's my specialty. For wise guys. Cool. I specialize in wise guys. That's why I've been here so long. People sort of like to see wise guys get beat up a little bit.
Yeah.
And I do it for sport. So, let's get to it. So, she backed her car up and then came around and...
She proceeded to pick me up.
Picked you up from where?
The bus stop, which was right around the corner.
Okay, so she picked you up at the bus stop.
Yep.
And at that point, you were alone at the bus stop.
Yep. With
the 2 cases of beer?
Yes, I had 118 here and 118 here. And I was sitting at the bus stop at the time, so it was sitting next to each other.
Is there any reason why you were sitting at the bus stop?
Because she just took off without me.
Okay. Were you waiting for a bus?
No, it was 2 o'clock at night. I didn't know what I was going to do. I was going to sit there and just drink until I passed out.
You would too.
Fine. Hey. So she took off without you, but then she came and picked you up.
Yep,
and then what happened?
She came pick me up. We proceeded to go to her friend's house, and she's sitting there. She's yelling at me. I'm like, all right, I don't want to deal with it no more. Check it out. I'm done with you. I'm going to take my friend, and we're going to leave. Do you politely think you can take my little sister and her friend home because they're completely intoxicated? She agrees. She's like, all right, we can do that, whatever. Me and my friend, by the time we get to my house, I hear her car zooming down the street, drops off my little sister, and that's the last thing I heard from her until I get subpoenaed. Well, not subpoenaed, but served by her and one of her guy friends. I don't know.
Okay, fine. So that, according to you, you had no other contact with her after she took your sister home.
Yep.
Great. Now stand up. Tell me your last name.
Morton.
Were you in the car with the plaintiff?
Not when they did that, the beer, whatever, and I was not that intoxicated.
I didn't ask you that.
Okay.
What I asked you was, were you in the car with the plaintiff when this incident happened with the windshield wiper?
Oh, yes, I was.
And then what happened?
Okay, so I was sitting in the passenger seat, and, everyone was yelling, and I was sitting there, and I was like, I just want to go home. I don't want anything to do with this.
I want you to do me a favor. I want you to try telling me the story without using the filler word like.
Oh, okay. So I was in the car, and...
Think hard about what you're saying, because like is going to peer through there.
Okay. Okay, so I was in the car, and then, I don't know, they were arguing, bickering and stuff.
Where was he?
He was outside of the car, and then she was in the driver's seat, and I was in the passenger seat. And they were fighting, and all I saw was his hand go in, and then, like, he was reaching for something, and then the thing just popped out, and the windshield wipers were just going all crazy.
Okay, good. Sit down. Were you in the car?
Yes, ma'am.
Come. Go.
So we were in the car.
Look at me, and I have to tell you something. Sadly for you, you have a little condition that when you get nervous, your chest gets red. Look at me. It doesn't happen to everybody, but it happens to some people. It's sad for them because people who are talking to them, like a judge, can always tell when they're nervous. Got it?
Mm-hmm.
Great. Now, she was driving you home.
Mm-hmm.
Not a yes or no.
Yes.
She was driving you home. Who else was in the car?
Azzy.
This young lady was in the car.
Yes. And Bailey.
So just the two of them and you.
Mm-hmm.
Where was the young man with the interesting hairdo who I just put out of the courtroom?
He was walking home with my brother.
Were either your brother or this young man carrying any beer?
I believe my brother was, yes.
Now you're going to tell me what happened.
My brother and Bailey were arguing, and I basically was freaking out because Bailey was drinking and she was driving. And
that's Bailey. So she was drinking and driving. Your brother was outside the car because he and his friend were walking home, and they were arguing.
Correct.
And then?
And then I walked home, and then
well,
she
what
drove
happened
away.
when they were arguing?
I didn't see him.
Right. Now sit down. But that's a little bit of a different story that your sister tells than the story you told me.
Which was my story, that I walked home.
Just a second. It was a different story.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Bailey Newman says her ex-boyfriend, Brandon Young, purposely broke her windshield wipers during a drunken argument. Brandon insists the incident never happened.
Now we're going to get Mr. Interesting Hairdo back in here. Now, Mr. Young's sister has just recounted for me the events as she remembers it that evening. So let me tell you where we're going to pick up from you.
Okay.
You and Mr. Young are walking home. Who was carrying beer?
He was and I was. We're switching off.
So you had already purchased the beer,
Yes.
and the two of you started to walk home.
Yes.
Now I'd like you to tell me what happened when you were walking home.
Well, we were walking home and we just kept walking, and then we saw them drive by. They dropped Brandon's little sister off, and that was it. She went inside.
That was it, but that's not what sister says. Brandon's little sister says that at the time there was lots of arguing.
Oh, yeah,
That's what she says.
Yeah, there was arguing.
You left that out.
Oh, there was arguing, yes.
Well, I want you to tell me about the arguing.
It was just going back and forth between both of them.
Explain that to me. How was that? She was driving.
Yes.
And where was Mr. Young?
On the sidewalk with me.
Okay. So that he was closest to her, or he was closest to this young lady?
To Azzy?
Driver's side.
Oh, driver's side, yes.
I don't want you to say anything. If I wanted you to testify, I'd be posing my questions to you. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you think this was going to be easy? You have a sick look on your face.
I always look sick.
Sit down.
Okay.
A bunch of goofballs. You owe $635. Judgment for the plaintiff, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
As soon as I found out what he was about,
This woman has a scorn right now.
I left. I have a new boyfriend, so.
Yeah, she wanted to come see me. She called me up and told me.
He's crazy. I'm the one who dropped that.
Just come see me.
He's calling me day after this happened, trying to be with me, so.
Nothing. I hope she gets a life. And leaves me alone.
Not to be with stupid guys like that.
May be seated, sir. Have a seat, please.
Mr. Boyd, your lawsuit has two parts to it. First, this is your ex-girlfriend. You claim that when things got rough and it was over, she vandalized your car by spray painting it, and then you say she stole some electronics from your home.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Kidd says that she freely acknowledges that she painted a car a green color. If there was any other vandalizing to the car, that was not her doing, and even if it was her car anyway. So that's the defense with regard to the car. Am I correct?
Yes.
Great. And then with regard to the electronics, she says that you have some nerve suing her over the electronics. You both got evicted from the apartment because you were a drug dealer. And if anybody took your stuff, it had absolutely nothing to do with her. Okay. You shared an apartment together?
Yes, we did, Your Honor.
From when to when?
It was for a couple years until August of this year, until late August.
Lease up?
We didn't have a lease. We went month by month.
You never had a lease?
Well, there was a lease that we signed, but we didn't pay rent because it was a low-income apartment.
Excuse me?
It was a low-income apartment the government helped pay for us once I lost my job. Instead of paying $250 a month for rent, it dropped down to like $2 a month or something like that.
For both of you?
Yes. And the children, too.
How many children?
2.
How old are the children?
Trenton's 5 and Sheldon's 3, almost.
How long were you unemployed?
About 6 months to a year now.
Prior to that, what were you doing?
I was a customer service rep at a hotel and a front desk clerk at the hotel.
How long did you have that job?
About a year, not longer.
Ever been arrested for drugs?
I actually have evidence right here that says that that's what they tried to arrest me for. I was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Just answer. Have you ever been arrested for drugs?
That's what they tried to charge me with, yes, Your Honor.
Have you ever been arrested for drugs?
Yes, Your Honor.
When?
It was May of this year, of 2012. But all of that was dismissed, so.
Was it at that time, shortly thereafter, that you moved out of this wonderful apartment where you were paying $2 a month rent?
No. It was a few months later. August is when they actually took the eviction process because they thought that I was still trafficking in drugs, but I went in front of a judge in court.
I'm just asking. I'm trying to create a picture for myself,
definitely.
Mr. Boyd.
Definitely.
So you were evicted from low-income housing because they said that you were dealing drugs out of the apartment.
That's what they thought.
That's what they thought.
Yeah, and it did not happen.
Just a second. I'm just trying to create a picture. You clearly weren't convicted because you're standing here today. I assume that if you were convicted, you wouldn't be standing here today, although where were you arrested?
It was Brown County, Ohio.
In Ohio. I don't know about Ohio.
You don't want to.
Whether they put people in jail for that in Ohio. From being evicted from this apartment, where did you go?
I went to my parents' house, actually.
And where did you go?
To my grandmother's house.
And where did the children go?
Sheldon, our son who's together, is with my parents and me right now.
And?
And I live there with my parents, so I get to see him every day.
Well, you have 2 children.
The other, well, I fell in love.
Trenton is mine.
And where is
he
she?
lives with me.
He lives with you?
Mm-hmm. Yes, Your Honor.
And where is his father?
Not in the picture, Your Honor.
Not in the picture. Great. Oh, wonderful. Good. Can I see the picture of the car? So now you have a family. You're living as a family. You're not married because if you're married, then the government doesn't do all the wonderful things that you want the government to do for you if you're married. Like give you a $2 a month apartment. Fabulous. How many cars did you have while you were having this whole family?
2. We have
2.
that one and a minivan.
Okay, the minivan was used by whom?
Both of us.
And this car was used by whom?
I used it until I lost my license, and then she used it too. But
What'd you use your license for?
For driving without insurance.
Well, so where is this car?
It's at my parents' driveway right now.
Did you spray paint the car? Just let's be
No,
honest
Your
with
Honor.
each other.
I painted, my favorite color is green, Your Honor, and I painted it green, but 3 other girls from that apartment complex spray painted. He was watching. It was at a party he was throwing, and he thought it was all funny then.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, well, that sounds right. Actually sounds right. It actually is probably an improvement over the green. What's next? Go. Next.
The electronics or the car?
You're finished with the car. I'm finished with the car. I'm not interested in the car.
Okay. Well,
you don't have a license anyway. Nobody can drive the car. What do I care about the car? They can plant geraniums in it. Keep going.
I can't sell my car for nothing, though.
I believe, sir,
yes,
that she did not do this to your car.
Well, even if she didn't spray paint it, though, the green neon.
You're on
I've got an estimate from.
I don't care.
Okay, I got.
Move on.
Okay.
Electronics.
Okay. Well, it was about a week after she showed up to the apartment complex and said that she did all this artwork on the car. It was about a week later. I broke up with her. I said, "Go ahead, get your stuff out of the apartment. I'm going to my parents' house for a few days. I'll be back and I'll get my stuff out." And when I showed back up, all of my stuff was gone. My TV, my Xbox games, electronics, everything.
Just a second. Let me ask you a question, sir. Tell me what she got rid of. I'm dying to hear. Tell me what she got rid of.
Would you like to see a list?
I want all the big ticket items that
okay, well, there's a
are
3D,
worth $5,000. Just a second.
There was a 3D TV.
3D TV. When did you buy it?
2011, January.
January of 2011?
Yes.
And how much did you pay for it?
$1,787, I believe.
And what's next?
There was an Xbox that was $400.
Xbox $400. When did you buy that?
I bought that about April of 2012.
What else did you buy?
Which included 3D.
What else did you buy?
3D Blu-ray player.
How much?
That was about $400.
And about the same time? You bought it about the same time?
Around the same time that I bought my TV, yes.
Keep going.
I got a list right here. Can I pull that out for you?
How much does it add up to?
The total on this list it adds up to $3,457.37.
Now, my question to you, Mr. Boyd, is you tried to explain to me, sir, how a man who has been unemployed living in government-subsidized housing for $2 a month, has 2 children, can spend $4,000 in cash on toys. Yep. I posed a question that, as a taxpayer, I would like answered. I'm paying your rent. I'm paying for your food stamps. I'm paying for your Medicaid or whatever you're getting so that your children are covered because you don't do anything. So you explain to me how an unemployed couple with 2 children spend $4,000 on electronics.
So it was over a year period of time that I bought all these electronics because my Xbox I didn't buy until April 2012.
Tell me how you can afford to spend $400 on an Xbox when you're paying $2 a month in rent.
Well, I had income tax money that I had, which was about $4,500 that came in, and I also had a bunch of money saved up from when I was working at the hotel.
Goodbye. Not interested in your story. Your case is dismissed. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She had a point. You know, he's a convicted drug dealer. How do you come up with $5,000 in electronics and you're living in low-income housing?
Well, I saved up money, you know, for years.
His drug dealing. He was convicted of it.
She got mad at me because she cheated on me.
He moved a bed into the living room and people were in and out all hours in the night.
I still love her to this day, honestly. I've always wanted to make a family with her, but I don't think that I can, honestly, to this day.
I love Joey, you know, but we can be friends for the kid's sake, but that's it.
You may be seated. Gentlemen, have a seat.
Ms. Shepard, this is your son and it is your money.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Boddicker, how old are you?
I'm 21.
Been in some trouble?
I got a DUI.
How many?
Just one.
Any other trouble?
No, not in a few years.
What does that mean?
I've had drinking in public and a few other odds and ends, weed tickets and a few odds and ends, but nothing really anything serious.
You're 21 years old, sir. How many times have you been taken into custody by the police? I want you to stop and think about it.
3 times.
Other than those 3 times, how many citations have you received for one offense or another?
1.
For what?
Speeding.
Now, where were you living?
I've lived at my dad's house since I was 14.
And your dad's house is where?
Cincinnati, Ohio.
And your mom lives in?
Las Vegas.
When did you leave your dad's house to go to your mother's house?
About the 4th or 5th month of this year, and I stayed out there for about 3 months.
What month did you go there?
I'm not sure off the top of my head.
What month?
April.
And at the time, you had some outstanding legal issues in the state of Ohio.
It was actually in Kentucky.
In Kentucky? Oh. What kind of legal trouble did you have in Kentucky?
I got pulled over for DUI. It was around like 8 o'clock in the morning, and I was just trying to make it to work from the night before, and I got pulled over for speeding because I was going to be like about a half an hour late for work if I didn't.
So you were not only speeding, but you were also drunk?
Yes.
Great. Did you get a fine?
I got arrested. I had to go to some DUI classes, and I was having a hard time getting to them because my dad always worked out of town and all that, and I didn't have my license. They took that away from me. So my mom offered to have me come out and help me out with my DUI classes so I'd actually get to them and not have to worry about finding a way every week to go check in.
What kind of work were you doing when you were living in Ohio?
I was a delivery driver for Jimmy John's, and then I got fired for a DUI because I couldn't drive anymore.
Do you believe, sir, that the classes that you had to attend were part of your punishment?
Yes.
And you had to pay for those classes?
Of course.
And your mom paid for those classes?
She offered to pay for those classes.
Your mom paid for those classes?
Yes.
Now, let's say instead of having to take drunk driving classes, because that seems to be a problem of yours, the judge said, you're going to do 60 days in jail. And your mom said to somebody, I'll give you $2,000 if you go and service jail time for him. Do you think we can do that in this country?
No.
Well, your driving classes are your punishment. Nobody else can take care of your punishment for you except you. And that's part of your punishment. Because, you know, it would have been bad enough for both your father and your mother if you were driving and speeding drunk because you were out all night. And you were on your way to driving because you were a delivery person drunk. Be bad enough if you crashed your car.
The night before, I stopped drinking at midnight, and I didn't start driving until 9 o'clock in the morning.
But, sir, did you fight the DUI, or did you plead guilty to the DUI?
It was my first time in jail, and I was in the middle of nowhere. And
Just let me know, did you plead guilty, or did you fight?
Yes, I plead guilty.
Right, then I don't want to hear about it. So it would have been bad enough for your mother and your father if they got a call that your car was speeding and you hit a tree and your brains got splattered all over the tree and you were gone. That would have been terrible for them. Worse, however, would have been if you hit a man who was driving his 3 children to school at 8 o'clock in the morning, and you were fine, and they were all gone. That's what's wrong with drunks who drive. If they kill themselves, that's their problem. But they usually take other people with them. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Your punishment, your problem, nobody pays for them but you. It's part of what makes it hurt. How much were the classes?
$700.
I'd like to see.
This is the credit card I put it on, too.
Thank you. Did you pay your mother back any part of the $700?
About $200. She took it out of my first paycheck when I was working down there. She took about $250.
So that's $225.
Okay. So that's $475 left on that bill. What else do you think he owes you for?
I have a list, Your Honor, of all the things I paid for him.
I don't care what you paid for him.
Okay.
You're his mother. You're supposed to pay for things for him.
Well, these were related to his DUI and plus a car note that he was almost getting repossessed.
I didn't agree to that, though.
Just a second.
Yeah, he did.
Just a second. What else did you pay for the DUI?
I paid his $40 fee with the DMV in Kentucky in order for him to get his license back. I paid for car insurance for him because he had to have car insurance on his car.
I don't care about that.
I also paid for his court fees of $836.
Oh, that I care about.
Yeah, but the insurance...
$510.
He agreed.
And what are the court fees?
$836.
That he owes you, that's part of the hurt.
He agreed to paying me back all this. He swore to me he was going to pay me back.
Mm-hmm.
Even when he left Nevada, he hugged me and said, Mom, I promise I won't screw you over.
Well, right now he owes you $1,346. Now, you want to tell me about this car note in 30 seconds or less, please?
I have a letter showing that was left on my door that he was about to lose his car.
So? Let him lose it.
I should have.
Well, so what does that have to do with the courts if you decided to pay off the car?
Well, he agreed to pay me back. Otherwise, I wouldn't have done it.
Do you have that in writing?
No. She doesn't need it in writing, and don't speak to your mother.
He promised me. He said
well, I
he
want you to tell me how you found that on your door.
Yeah, and then I showed it to him, and he had been ignoring their phone calls, and I know he has a harder time.
Don't tell me what you know.
Okay. He promised that if I did negotiate the price of his car, get it settled and paid off, he would pay me back. He promised, he swore to me he would. My son even witnessed him saying he would pay me back everything that I put out.
He wasn't even out there.
Yes, he was.
Where's the car?
It's at my house in Cincinnati.
Well.
And he wrecked it.
Just a second. Were you paying on it?
Don't.
Were you paying on the car? That's either a yes or a no.
I was late on 2 payments, or
Fine.
2 months of payments.
2 months of payments, and that's why they were going to repossess it. But it was your car, and you were paying for it.
Yes.
When you left your mother's house, now you had your car, right?
Yes.
Well, what did you think was going to happen with the payments?
It was all settled. It was all settled. She paid it off without even talking to me about doing it first. She called them up, had me talk to J.D. Byrater to give him permission when I was half asleep. She did it at like 8 o'clock in the morning.
Something's wrong with you. You know what's wrong with you? You've probably been drinking alcohol too long, and your brain's gotten into kind of this soupiness. I want you to think of it this way, sir. You purchased a car. You were making payments.
Yes.
You still have the car. You have to make payments. And now your payments are even less because your mother negotiated a smaller amount of money that you owed on the car, right?
Yes.
Yes? So saving you about $3,000 according to her papers, right?
Yes.
Well, that would be a big hug and a kiss and say, thank you for negotiating for me and thank you for laying out that money for me. And I will, like I've always been doing, except for the 2 months, pay you instead of paying them.
I've been trying to, but I haven't been working for the last 2 months. I just got a job back at Nick and Tom's in Cincinnati.
Nick and Tom's doing what?
I'm a dishwasher again.
Great. Not driving.
I'm not driving. I'm just...
Great. Even better.
And I just got back on my feet. I got my own house where I'm paying my rent every month, and I'm just trying to get all my bills settled.
Fine. So, what's your first name?
Richard.
Richard, if you said to me, Judge, I realize I owe my mother the money, and if you give her a judgment, I will pay her back little by little. But right now I'm just getting back on my feet. You and I are golden together. But if what you try to do is make excuses, do you have it in writing that I said I'd pay you back? That's what you said to your mother. Do you have it in writing? I didn't want it. I was going to let them repossess the car. That's what you said in your answer. You had all kinds of excuses. But Richard, if you said to me right from the get-go, I know I owe her this money, and now I'm getting back on my feet, and I'm going to pay her. You and I wouldn't have had any difficulty. Do you understand?
Yes.
That means stop making excuses. How much did you pay for him for the car?
$6,000. I got the letter from the
Where'd you take the
company.
money from?
I used my credit card. I got the credit card attached to it.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I just hope I can mend my relationship with my son because it means a lot to me.
I love my mom, but I don't know.
Because he was out of my life for so many years living with his dad.
I love her and everything, but I still have my issues with her abandoning me.
I felt guilty for not being there for him. And I wanted to be there for him.
When I was younger and all that, so it's going to be a hard time, but we can rebuild.
I'm not going to give him any more.
Don't ask family for help. It just bites you.
You may be seated. Ladies, have a seat, please.
Mr. Johnson, how long were you and Miss Reed a couple?
Approximately 2.5 years.
On what date did you separate?
February 21st, I believe.
2012.
Yes.
Do you currently have an order of protection against you?
Yes.
Issued by what court?
Hooksett, New Hampshire.
When was it issued?
March 8th.
That was the temporary one.
Exactly.
Did you go to trial?
Yes.
The defendant here, who was the plaintiff in that case, did she testify?
Yes.
Did you testify?
Yes.
Do you have a copy of that order?
Yes, I do.
I want to take a look at it. So after the trial, the court found that you threatened her and broke her property. You something her when she tells him to leave her alone. I think it says grabs. And he told her he will haunt her forever and make her life a... Over a 3-day period, he texted her over 200 times, many with vulgar messages. That's the finding of the court. The court also found that you presented a credible threat to the plaintiff because of his irrational and unstable behavior, threats and destruction of her property. 3 months ago, he smashed the lights on her car. Now, Mr. Johnson, subsequent to this trial, were you arrested for violating the protective order?
Yes.
When?
I can't remember the exact date.
What happened with that case?
I have 6 months in jail hanging over my head.
If you go near her again?
Correct. Or
did you plead guilty to the violation?
Yes.
And the court gave you a chance?
Yes.
Who is this?
That's my daughter.
Do you live with her?
We did. We all lived together at one time because she was evicted from her apartment.
You say that she owes you $300 in utility bills.
Yes.
You actually think it's a smart thing to pursue her in a civil action for $300, Mr. Johnson, when you've been found guilty of domestic violence, very serious domestic violence, when you violated the protective order, when you have 6 months hanging over your head by a court? You think that it's a smart thing, now that you no longer have any relationship with her at all, to pursue a $300 utility bill, even if the court finds that she should have paid or assisted in paying the utility bill? You think that's smart?
Yes, because
It's not. Do you work? What kind of work do you do?
I drive a truck.
So you make good money if you
bad.
drive a truck. How much do you make a day driving a truck?
Well, by the week, around 600.
Is that what you take home?
Close to it, yeah.
And now you're living with your daughter. Does she work?
I don't live with my daughter.
Where do you live?
I live in my own place.
Where?
Hooksett, New Hampshire.
So I'm trying to follow this. You live in New Hampshire. Is that where you live?
Yes.
You had a protective order, and you violated the protective order. And you traveled thousands of miles to pursue her for a $300 utility bill. Now I understand why the judge said, you following this? Plaintiff safety is at risk because of his irrational and unstable behavior. I would actually consider it, Mr. Johnson, irrational and unstable behavior, given the history that you have now with her, to travel thousands of miles to pursue a utility bill. What?
We had never had any police called to the house. I've never been through anything like this in my life. This woman has turned my life upside down.
Then why are you here, sir? She didn't pursue you. You sued her.
She's ruined my credit.
You sued her.
Because
if somebody
I paid for
ruins my
everything.
life, I don't want to pursue them. I want to put a period and move on. You sued her. It's irrational. Totally irrational behavior. If what you're saying to me, Mr. Johnson, is the defendant is a nut.
Yes.
Now, that's not what this court found. And that's not what you pled guilty to. Because you pled guilty to violating the protective order. And you had to have had a lawyer in that case.
Yes.
Because you faced going to jail.
Yes.
So you had legal counsel at that time.
Yes.
So knowing all that, I'm telling you, if she were a nut, I would say, well, if I'm not an irrational person, I want to get as far away from her as possible. And if she owed me for a gas bill or an electric bill, I'm going to chalk that off. It's the least she's done to me. I'm not going to pursue her for thousands of miles. You got me.
Yes, I do.
Do you get that? Does anything I said sound irrational to you? You want to speak? Does anything I said sound irrational to you? What utility bill does she owe you for, Mr. Johnson?
The light bill and the gas bill.
For what month, sir?
Well, it started accruing December, January, and February of this year, and I have the bills right here.
You mean she didn't pay you for her share?
Well, the bills had to be in my name because she has no credit.
And?
And that's how we got the apartment, was with my good credit.
Just a second. Are you still living in that apartment?
No, she is. She had me evicted and
so these were bills.
Restraining order.
These bills were her responsibility to pay?
Both of us, 50-50.
Great. Do you have proof that you paid those bills? All I'm asking you is yes or no.
No.
Great. You get your judgment, sir, $340. Now you're happy. Now there's no reason to pursue her anymore. You have nothing to pursue her for. You have nothing to have anything to do with her anymore. This is the last shot. The next time you pursue her, call her, text her, write her, pursue her at all, in any court, for any purpose. Listen to me. This is on tape. Forever. The next time you pursue her in court because you say this is the last thing that you have to do with her, the next time you text her, write her, phone her, you will have violated the protective order, going to be in jail for 6 months. And then a 6-month term probably after that because you will have violated it twice. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Great. You have no further legal claims against her. You're done. I'm dismissing your counterclaim. We don't want to talk about your counterclaim. Mr. Johnson is now a happy man. He got his utility bill paid. And now he can go back the 2,000 miles that it took him to get here, and he can go back to his job.
Thank
Goodbye.
you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Please excuse me, step out. I think she made a very fair decision.
It's been going on for a year now, and I'm so happy it's done.
I won't have to have any more contact with Miss Reed.
I'm hoping that he moves on, because I know I want to start a whole new life very far away from him.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Rubio versus Stampley. Step forward, please.
Carly Rubio is suing her former friend, Carrie Stampley, for totaling a car she was in the process of buying from her.
Miss Rubio, how do you and the defendant know each other?
She used to be a family friend.
Okay, tell me about this car.
She was desperate and needed a vehicle. Her car went out, and my mom...
When?
In May of 2011.
Okay. Your mom what?
My mom discussed that I had a vehicle for sale.
What kind of car?
A 2002 Saturn Vue.
How much did you sell it to her for?
$3,500.
You know what the book value of that car is?
When we looked it up, it was around $38,000.
$37,000 is very high price.
Or $3,700, I'm sorry.
Okay, let's take a look. Okay, while he's looking it up, in what year did you purchase the car?
We purchased it in 2010.
When in 2010?
I don't know. We traded a vehicle for it. We traded a vehicle and then we paid extra cash.
Who did you buy it from?
We bought it at a dealer.
How much did you pay for it?
We put it down a vehicle and paid...
How much did you pay for it?
$2,000 cash and a car.
Good.
$3,075.
$3,000.
Is that including all the extras?
Don't give me extras. You pay $2,000 for the car. That's all you can establish unless you have a bill of sale for the car indicating how much they gave you for the other car. You don't have much other information. And I'm relying on what you say when you say that you gave him $2,000 in cash. You can't prove that to me, can you? Because you say that you agreed on a price of $3,500. She says that you agreed on a price of $2,500.
Your Honor, I have a paper here where I have it wrote down, and I have the receipts that have the deposit and the purchase agreement.
Just a second. Do you have something that she signed?
Yes, I do. I have a
I'd like
contract.
to see what she signed. Doesn't say how much.
Copy of the title that I took and the
Well,
receipts.
that's just a second. She signed this piece of paper.
Yep.
This piece of paper says that she put down $1,000 and she was going to pay $200 on the 20th of every month.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what she signed.
Yep.
Do you have another piece of paper that she signed?
No, ma'am.
Well, a purchase of sale agreement usually has how much an item costs. You have everything else here except how much it costs. In any event, you put down $1,000. How many payments did you make?
I had to pay until November.
November of what year?
That would have been 2011.
Did you do that?
Yes.
Every payment was late. Half the payments were only $100 at a time. She got to where she was $500 behind and paying $200 payments to catch up. And the last payment she made was in March of 2012.
How much did she pay altogether?
She paid $2,500.
That's what she said the car was. So now tell me what you want.
The $1,000 that's left over. She only paid $2,500 and it was $3,500.
You have no proof of that. She says it was $2,500. You say it was $3,500.
Is she crazy?
So far you told me you bought the car in 2010 for $2,000. I don't know what you traded in. I don't know if you traded in a piece of junk. I don't know what you traded the car for. She says she paid $2,500 for a car that you paid $2,000 for the year before.
And I let her pay it in payments. She was always late.
I don't care. What difference does that make?
Well, in the agreement it says if she was 2 months
Ms.
behind,
Rubio,
I could take the
I'm going
car.
to give you a word of advice. Pay careful attention. If you write up a bill of sale with all the other
can I say something?
no, now I want you to listen. If you write up a bill of sale with all the terms and conditions, and the thing that you leave out is the purchase price, that's viewed against you. Now, it wouldn't have been unreasonable to sell a car for $2,500 that you actually only paid $2,000 for the year before. That would have been very reasonable, especially since the book value on the car is only $3,000.
If you put it on the online Kelly book, it's not that low.
No, that's what it says. He just read the Kelly book. You know, one thing I know about him, he knows how to read a Kelly book. He's been doing it for me for 17 years.
Okay,
Your
how about
case
the
is
fact that
dismissed.
she never
Goodbye.
put the car in her name?
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She fraudly had that vehicle still in my husband's name.
She could have told the truth and been done with it, and if she would have brought it to me, something could have been done, but I'm not going to pay over what we agreed upon.
She's just not paying because she was cheating on her boyfriend, and her boyfriend found out and wouldn't let her talk to my parents.
She's ridiculous.
They wrecked it. I got pictures, proof that they crashed it, and she gave it to the towing company and never paid it off.
She knew what the payments was. She was paying me. She was putting it in the bank, and she never paid it off. And I'm the one that talked my daughter into getting this for her.
Never again. Never do business with your friends.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Carrillo versus Polanco. Step forward, please.
24-year-old Nelsie Carrillo is suing cosmetology school owner Lourdes Ruby Polanco for the return of her tuition. Nelsie claims the school is a sham.
Ms. Carrillo, what do you do for a living?
I don't work. I actually get SSI because I was diagnosed with lupus when I was young.
You have lupus?
Yes.
And when did you start to collect SSI?
When I was young, when I was 11.
Who do you live with?
I live with my mom.
What does she do?
She can't work actually right now because she has arthritis and she has health issues.
Who else lives in your home?
It's just me and my mom.
Okay, this is what the case is about. You paid the defendant, according to you, $3,500 for tuition for makeup school.
Yes.
And you said that she didn't teach you well, you want your money back.
Yes.
The defendant says that you attended all the classes. She's got a counterclaim because she says you've been defaming her on the internet, called the Better Business Bureau, etc. Now, where did you get $3,500 to pay her?
I actually saved some money from my financial aid that I had gathered when I was in college.
Just a second. So you went to college?
Yeah, I've been going to college.
How old are you?
I'm 24.
So you go to college. I want to understand this. Do you still go to college?
Yeah, I do.
How many credits do you take?
18 units. 18 units of classes.
A semester?
Yeah.
How many years have you been going to college and taking 18 units of classes?
Since 07. Since 07. So for pretty much 5 years.
Well, you don't take 18 credits a semester.
Oh, no. I
want to know what you take in college.
120 units. It depends on the major. Right now I'm at Cal State Northridge. So in order for me to graduate, I have to make up to 140 units for graduating in my major, which is journalism.
So let me understand this. You get financial aid to go to college, which you've been going to since 2007.
Yeah.
And you support yourself receiving SSI for lupus.
Yeah.
And in addition, you were able to save, after you paid all your expenses, $3,500 to go to makeup school. And your major is journalism.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you have 120 credits, according to you, and you need 140 to graduate.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, Your Honor. The reason why I'm suing the school is because They didn't teach me what they were supposed to teach me.
How do I know that?
And also, they actually promoted false advertisement, saying that we were all going to get internships. I mean, after we graduated...
You don't want an internship in makeup, Ms. Correa. You want to be a journalist. That's why you're going to college. That's why you've been spending probably $250,000 to educate you since 2007 because you wanted to graduate from college. What are you going to makeup school for?
Because I like makeup and I actually want to make a little bit of extra money while I'm in college, and I want to work because I want to have a job. I want to have a career. I mean,
well,
while I'm
you're
in
preparing
school.
yourself for a career. You have a $200,000 education to prepare yourself for a career in journalism. Why do you need a makeup school for $3,500?
Because I needed to learn. I mean, I needed to learn how to do makeup. I mean, I didn't know how to do makeup on myself or other people. I mean, that's the reason why I signed up. And I mean, it's an extra way to earn some money. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
I don't think that there's anything wrong with it either, as long as you work and pay for it. But Bert and I are paying for your education. You're going to a school that Bert and I as taxpayers are paying for so that you give them 110% of your energy for the money that we're paying for you to go to school, and you want to take makeup classes for another $3,500. I quite frankly find that bizarre. Bizarre. Miss Carrillo, you didn't like the school?
I did like the school, but I knew that they were not.
But you didn't think that they taught you well enough?
No, and
then don't go back there. Concentrate on your school. There is no way that I am awarding you $3,500. No way. It's not happening. It wasn't your money. It was our money. You paid her our money. Maybe we'll sue her if you didn't do a good job. But you didn't work for that $3,500, did you?
No, but my dad also helped me out.
Oh, no, you just...
I mean,
well,
a little bit.
Then bring your dad here. You didn't work for this $3,500. This $3,500 was a gift to you from the state. So you don't expect us to make two gifts to you.
Not expecting that.
Well, it's not going to happen. Not in my America. Maybe in somebody else's America. Not in this America. Not in this place right here. And I don't know anything about her school. But I suggest that if you are being given an opportunity to have a first-class education at a first-class school that's not costing you any money, you devote 110% of your energy to that education and then figure out a way how to make a living at it. And if you want to be a makeup artist, don't take a couple of $100,000 and waste it going to journalism school. Go find another makeup school.
I mean, the money that I've got, I mean, I've used it for my books. I use it for my projects that I've done.
Then we're giving you too much money if you were able to save $3,500 for makeup school.
Well, they give you $4,000. Like, for the year, they give you like...
Miss Carrillo, let me explain something to you.
I understand.
I have a lot of children, a lot of grandchildren. They went to college for 4 years. Now, my last grandchild who graduated from college said, hey, everybody's graduating from college in 5 years. I said, not you, not in this family. You get 4 years to go to college. Maybe if you went to school and concentrated on your school, Miss Carrillo.
I did concentrate.
Concentrate on your school, not your makeup class, not going to makeup school, but concentrated on your school. Maybe you too would be finished in 4 years. And then you could go to work in journalism. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, your mother can't work because she's disabled.
Yes.
You say it's just you and your mother in the house, right?
Yeah.
Concentrate on your school. Listen.
Yes.
I'm not listening to your counterclaim. Do you understand? I just explained to her what the rules are.
Okay.
You're not going to be able to show me your loss of business. If she wrote to the Better Business Bureau, that's free to do that. Okay. If she posted on the internet at school that she didn't think she got a good education there, she's entitled to do that. That's what the internet does. It lets everybody have a voice. Do you advertise on the internet?
Yes, I do.
Well, you see what happens? You put it out there. They're allowed to comment.
Okay.
That's what she wants to do. Well, I think she should concentrate on finishing school and getting a job because, you know, going to college is very stressful.
It is.
Taking exams is very stressful. All that is not good for people with lupus, right? Maybe it would be less stressful if you got a job. Goodbye, Ms. Carrillo. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
They were a scam, and that they didn't care about the students. They only care about the money.
For me, my students are the number one priority.
The amount of money that they charge is a lot. I mean, $3,500 for just a basic course for 10 weeks.
For a whole year, she took the class. She repeated the class with many teachers.
You get a certificate, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to be the great makeup artist.
We have letters, emails, texts from her loving the school and just lots of recommendations.
I should focus on my education with journalism and not makeup.
And then the next week after she graduated, she's like, I hate the school. I want my money back.
Wait.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Stanley versus Ferris. Step forward.
Amy Stanley is suing her neighbor, Monica Ferris, For the cost to fix her car, Amy claims Monica's 6-year-old son scratched the vehicle with his bike.
Miss Stanley, it is your claim that this little boy over here, while he was riding his bike, scratched your car.
Yes.
Who saw that? You did not.
No, my boyfriend did and my daughter.
Okay, let's start with you. Your last name is?
Ron Smith.
Mr. Smith, on what date did this incident happen with your girlfriend's car?
I want to say 8/26. It is 8/26.
Well, she showed you. You didn't know what it was.
It was
So,
8/27.
Just a second.
Okay.
Listen to me. There's a method to my madness. Close that. Do you remember, as we are standing here today, without pointing to anything, on what date this happened?
The exact date? No, ma'am.
Good. Then, Miss Stanley, do you remember when it happened?
August 27th.
Do you remember what time you observed this incident, Mr. Smith?
I want to say...
I don't want you to say what I want to say. I
3
want
o'clock.
you to...
3 o'clock because she was out of school. She was already out of school.
Approximately 3 p.m. Tell me what you observed.
All right. I was in the car actually working on a stereo. Turned around, and as I was laying in the trunk, it's the seat folds down so you can get in the truck from inside the car. As I sat down on that part and I laid up, I heard her saying, "No, Jacob, no." I flipped over to my stomach, which I got a picture I could see right out the trunk of the car, to her truck. And as I turned over, I heard a thunk. The handlebar, the grips were slid up, so there was about that much of the handlebar showing.
The metal part of the handlebar.
Yes, ma'am. And as soon as I heard that hit the truck, I knew there was some damage. Jacob and his younger sister, Malia, were at my house. I told them to go get their mother. And within 5 minutes, the mother showed up. The mother and the father, boyfriend.
Okay. Tell me what your name is.
Haley.
Haley, would you tell me what you saw?
You want me to start where my dad was in the trunk, where he started from?
No, I just want you to tell me what you saw with regard to your mom's truck.
When Jacob went in, like, right where the trash can was on the side of the house, I told him he couldn't be back there with the bike. And then I saw the bike go to the car, and then it moved forward, and then Jacob grabbed the handlebar.
Have his hands on the handlebars before? What was he driving, without his hand on the handlebars?
No, I think he stopped, and then it
fell over.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I see a picture of the scratches on your car?
And I can show you where I told them 3 times in that day to leave the bikes. There's a picture in there of how the cars were parked. And I told them, because the one blue car is less than a month old with less than 1,000 miles on it. I didn't want them anywhere
I
near.
don't hear a word you're saying. I'm just trying to look for the scratch on the car, which I see. Okay. So it's a little scratch on your car. Okay. I'll hear you.
I wasn't there, so I don't know exactly what happened.
Right. But you have 2 people, 2 neighbors, who told you what happened.
Right. On that day, my mother told Jacob he could go over there and play with my daughter.
I don't care.
So they came and got me, said there was a scratch. So I said, okay, I'll go over there. So I went over there, and I seen a scratch that was this big.
Yeah, it's a tiny scratch.
It was not visible. I had to ask them.
It was visible because you saw it.
They had to point it out to me for me to see it.
Well, then it's visible.
Because Jacob at the time had said, I did not scratch the car.
Of course he's not going to tell you scratch the car.
You know, I was like, okay, you know, and I went back home.
And
I'm not going to, you know, she said she was going to go find an estimate. And I said, well, do whatever you want to do. That's fine. So a week later, she comes over with a $600 estimate. And I told her I'm not paying $600 for a scratch that I don't know that he did.
He did. He did it. I don't know whether it's worth $600, but he did it. What year car is this?
2007.
The scratch.
Madam, I'm speaking. What you're supposed to say is, I'm sorry if my son scratched your car. I'll be more than happy to pay a reasonable amount to have it painted and buffed.
But I'm not paying for a scratch. They're saying the scratch went across the door in the corner panel.
No,
that's
it
not
didn't.
the scratch
I saw
I
it.
seen.
It's
And
not
I'm
a big scratch.
paying $600 for a scratch that he didn't make.
And I'm telling you, he scratched her car. And what you're supposed to say is you're supposed to start to teach your children. How many of them do you have?
3.
You're supposed to teach them responsibility by example. He may be too young to understand it now, but that's what you're supposed to do as a parent, to teach them morality by responsible behavior, by doing the right thing. Then they know that their parents are moral people. There's a right thing and a wrong thing. And you make excuses or you do the right thing. And that's what your children are going to learn from you. If you say to me, look, they're blowing it all out of proportion. It's a small scratch. And it's not a big scratch. And it's not worth $600. You get a little paint, you buff it up, You take it in. If you don't want to do it, you let somebody else buff it up. We are not talking about a car that's 6 months old. You're talking about a car that's almost 6 years old, and you're neighbors of each other. But you don't say, I'm not paying for something that my son told me that he didn't do. Be ridiculous. You think that these two people are lying? Put your hand down. You think that these two people are lying? You're ridiculous.
They may be.
So I'm telling you, well, teach your children by setting a moral example. If you don't, you're going to be in court with them all the time. I can't even ask him a question. He's a baby. He didn't mean to do anything wrong. It would be no different if he took a ball and tossed it into a window at his age. He didn't mean to do it, but somebody's got to pay for it. Not them.
$600. You know, that's
you're not understanding me. I don't know what you're not understanding. We're not arguing over the amount. We're arguing over your statement. My son says he didn't do it. And you have an adult and an older child who said, I saw him.
Right, and their stories to me have changed 3 different times, so I don't believe anything they say.
Okay, okie dokie. Everything's a mother. Judgment for the plaintiff and the others. Good for you.
What is our excuse? You may step out.
I didn't want to just hand over money for something that I didn't know whether my son had done, damage.
He did do the damage. He wouldn't even come in the driveway when it happened.
He don't go over there much. My 10-year-old son does, but not my younger son.
They don't talk too much anymore. It's sad because they were friends.
It's just an accident. It's all. I feel like it's blown way out of proportion and just ridiculous.
Sir, have a seat.
Mr. Guzman, you're going to try as best you can to explain this car deal to me, but this is what I think I understand from your complaint. Miss Seward is a neighbor of yours. She had a car. Car was having some mechanical difficulties. She was short on cash. So you made an agreement with her to take over the payments on the car. You would have the car. You would pay her $288 a month. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And in November of 2012, according to you, you gave her $600, which represented what?
The $600 that I gave her, I went down with her, and it represented the month that she was behind on October's payment for the car.
So she had missed a car payment. Is that correct?
No, ma'am.
Miss Seward, let me explain something to you. Really important. I know how to use a telephone. Easy. All I have to do is pick up a phone and get information from a car dealership, from a loan company. Everybody talks to me on the phone. Did Mr. Guzman go with you to make a payment to someone for a late car payment?
Yes.
That's the answer. So he went with you to make up an October car payment on the car because...
He went with me, Your Honor, but it wasn't his money. He was riding with me, and he said that he would get the car fixed, but he didn't have enough money to give me what I wanted for the car. And so he asked that if he could use the car.
No, you're getting ahead of yourself. You're twisting over your own words, Miss Seward. Don't twist over your thoughts. You see, if you tell the truth, you don't have to have a good memory.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what you're telling me is Mr. Guzman took you to make a car payment using your money. In what car did you go to get there?
Mr. Guzman didn't take me anywhere. He knew that I was going to Walmart and he wanted to get some things, and I told him I had to make a payment. But Mr. Guzman, it was not because it was him going with me and he was giving me the money to do anything.
Did you give her money at Walmart to make a car payment?
I did, Your Honor.
How much?
I gave her exactly $600 in cash, all in 20s.
And what you're telling me is you made the payment to Walmart?
Yes.
Show me where you got the money from.
Well, I didn't bring a bank statement.
Why not? Where did you think you were going today? To the pool?
I work. I'm self-sufficient.
No,
I
just want to see where you got. I want to see where you got the money from.
Well, I don't have a check stub with me, but that's how I get my source of income is because I work.
Can I see you have? I'd like to see it.
If I may
just a minute.
Okay.
There was a cash advance of $920. Where was this taken, sir? This cash advance?
Out of my bank account that is linked to my direct deposit.
Well, this is for $920.
That is correct. $600 was to go to Miss Seward, with all due respect, and I was going to have enough money to pay for a mechanic to come to the home, diagnose the car for me, and be able to have some extra money because there was no gas in the tank as well.
Okay. Mr. Guzman, would you tell me, sir, please, what your arrangement with her was for the car?
The arrangement was that I was to take over the payments to this 2005 Ford Focus. It was broke down, and it was basically...
You were going to take over the payments to what end, sir? Because you were nice to her or because you wanted the car for yourself?
I was going to take over the payments to the car because it was very much needed at my house.
So it was going to be your car?
Yes, it was my car.
What was due and owing on the car?
What Miss Seward confided into me at the very end when we actually went to Walmart, she disclosed to me just under $4,000.
Did you see any paperwork with regard to that?
She didn't want to show me any paperwork of how much was owed because she said that she couldn't find it.
Well, what kind of a business deal is that? That's a ridiculous business deal.
Your Honor, I come before you because I'm here to basically tell you the facts, and I've come to seek justice. That's the best I can do to please help me with this case. That's all I can tell you.
Well, I'm just telling you, it's a ridiculous business deal, Mr. Guzman. What kind of a business deal is that?
She told me that if I made payments to the car, I told her my credit was bad. She said, if you make a payments to me in a few months, she said, I will go with you and I will make sure that the car is put in your name and that will prove that you have been made payments. So I basically went to establish my credit.
What caused you to trust her?
You know, I met her in early October. I was walking down the street. She asked me if I wanted to ride to the bus stop. I said, that'd be great. She introduced herself to me. She said that she was one of the tenants that lived in the apartment complex across the street from me. It seemed like a very sweet person to me at the time, very noble. And so we hit it out very well to where she even took me to her own church congregation the next Sunday. And a few weeks later, after I gave her permission that if she ever needed a parking space to put the car in for Friday's street sweeping, that she would be able to put the car in there if she needed to. And sure enough, a week and a half later, I found that the car was in my driveway and it basically had been pushed onto my driveway. It broke down completely. So after that, another week went by and she came to the house physically. I said, what are you going to do with the car? She said, I'd like to sell it to you if you're interested in buying the car. You could take over payments. I said, how much are the payments? Because I only have so much money to work with.
So the car was broken down and in your parking space?
Yes, it was.
Got it.
I have a mechanic's receipt here, too.
I'd like to see that, too.
I have the, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's getting better, Mr. Guzman. Once you paid the mechanic, the car was up and running. Is that right? And this was done in November.
Mm-hmm.
Just a second. No.
I'd like to explain, Your Honor.
What do you want to explain, Mr. Guzman?
When I gave Miss Seward the money, she told me that she could not find the key to the car. I waited almost 3 weeks for her to find the key.
I'm just trying to see what this was before you whited it out and put in November.
Yes.
Because there's no question that the car dealership didn't do that.
No, the mechanic had done that.
No. Mechanics don't white out.
No,
mechanics
I
go
whited
like
it out.
this.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. I whited it out because I was trying to stipulate, because I have a great paper trail, and that was the beginning of
but you can't falsify evidence, Mr. Guzman. If you were trying to create a paper trail by changing the date on this receipt, that's not creating a valid paper trail.
Your Honor, I ask that you deeply excuse me, but I have been very, very, just extremely taken by this whole case. And if you just allow me, I could prove more evidence that is not tampered with, please.
Just a second. Miss Seward, I'm going to leave Mr. Guzman for a moment because, quite frankly, I'm getting exhausted.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Guzman says his neighbor, Elisha Seward, owes for a car payment, a mechanic's bill, and defamation of character. Elisha is countersuing for the cost of a new car and harassment.
Miss Seward, according to you, he gave you some money, and you let him borrow the car periodically. I'm reading your answer.
Okay.
Do you remember what you wrote?
Yeah, exactly, Your Honor. Mr. Guzman we did not have an agreement for him to...
I didn't ask you what you didn't have. I asked you what you did have. That's what I want to know.
I let Mr. Guzman use the car.
How come?
Because he said that he would get the car fixed.
Because he would pay to get it
car fixed.
So
yes.
The car was just a... So you said to him, if you pay to get the car fixed, I'll let you drive it.
Yeah, it could serve both of us, yes.
And this all happened in about November. December, you say you were going to your car and you noticed the car wasn't there. Now, you gave Mr. Guzman the keys to your car.
Yes, he had the keys.
He had the keys. And did you have a set of keys?
No, I did not.
So he had the only set of keys?
Yes.
So one day in late December, I was headed towards my car to pick up my kids from school and noticed it wasn't there. I called James several times, and he didn't answer. I told him he could never take the car during school hours. When he finally answered, he hung up almost immediately. I was infuriated. So what did you do?
Well, I called him again, and I asked him to bring me the car.
You called the police.
Yeah,
That's what you
I
did.
did. I called the police.
You called the police?
Yes.
And you told the police your car was stolen?
No, I did not tell him it was stolen. I did not say it was stolen.
He refused to return my car, so I called the police. The police came, and I'm speaking. The police came, and I told them that James had stolen my car. That's what you say. I'm believing you. I assumed that when you wrote this answer, you wanted to be truthful. You told the police he stole your car. He didn't steal your car. He had your permission to have your car.
Yes, he did.
He had the car keys.
Yes.
You gave him the car keys.
Yes.
Did the police stop you?
Yes, and they gave me this. They refused to arrest me because I was in possession of the only car key. I had told them my story, but because Miss Seward was the registered owner of the car, and I did not have...
Oh, I know. I got the whole story.
They didn't want to take me to jail. They couldn't take me to jail. They said it was a civil matter.
Where did they stop you, Mr. Guzman?
She called... Okay, let me explain real quick. Okay.
I want to know where they stopped you. Did they stop you in the street? Did they stop you when you got home? Had you come home and parked the car? Did they go to your house? How was it that you came into contact with the police, Mr. Guzman?
I was called by Alicia, and she asked me to take her to the store. It was a setup. She immediately got me out of the car. When I stepped out of the driver's seat, she forced herself onto the driver's seat, and she called the police from her cell phone, and they came while she was sitting in the driver's seat, and she refused to get out of the driver's seat.
Who has a police report?
There was no police report taken because they said it was a civil matter and that I didn't have to go to jail because I did not steal a vehicle, is what the police officer said.
I don't know what in the world this is.
Basically, it's a description of how I had left the vehicle back in her possession. And so basically, the day before, on the 19th, we were supposed to go to pick up some toys for my witnesses, little toddlers, for Christmas. And we had made arrangements with Miss Seward that we weren't able to pick up her kids at 12 o'clock noon. That is why she called the police on me, Your Honor, because I could not make it at two places at one time, and she got irate, and she said that I stole the car. That's why we're here today.
Of course, that was a lie.
Yes.
Because you didn't steal the car. That's right, Miss Seward.
No, he did not steal the car, Your Honor.
Your Honor, Miss Seward gave me this paper upon finding the key to the car. It stated November 26th. It is to exchange a battery that is connected to her old cell phone number, Your Honor. She gave me that receipt and told me to go exchange the battery, that the battery might be drained on the mechanic driving us to AutoZone at 8:30 in the evening, Your Honor. It's got everything in there saying that we had swapped the battery and everything. That is basically...
Just in case you think you pay me too much money, you don't. Just suggesting that to anybody who might be watching. Mr. Guzman, don't think about your answer. I'm asking you, did you use the car in the month of November? I know you used it in December because you were using the car in December. My question is, don't make me repeat it again. It's getting late.
No, I did not use the car because the mechanic had a hard time trying to find the right alternator for the vehicle, so it sat for 2.5 weeks.
So is what you're telling me, sir, that you paid for this car before it was fixed?
That is correct.
Okie dokie. Now, you have a counterclaim.
Yes.
Your counterclaim is for?
Harassment.
You harassed him. You called the police and told him he stole the car.
Yeah, Mr.
You took advantage of him.
Yeah, Mr. Guzman, I feel, harassed me.
Yeah.
Your Honor, he's come to my door on several occasions. He's scared my children.
You took money from him.
No, I did not take money from him.
Yes, you did. You took money from him to fix your car. Where is the car now?
Okay, well, the car is sold. It was
car is sold.
Yes.
Car is sold. So he paid to have the car fixed, and then you sold the car.
Yes. The reason
I don't care why.
Did not
I'm
give
just
him
timeline. He paid to fix the car.
Yes.
And you sold the car.
Yes.
That wasn't your arrangement with him. Your arrangement with him was if he was paid to fix the car, then he could drive the car.
Yes.
He paid to fix the car, and you didn't keep your end of the bargain. Your counterclaim's dismissed. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $900. That's all. Step out.
These are excused. You may step out.
I'm sad because I had a good friendship going, and it had to come to this.
Mr. Guzman is obviously very delusional.
I'm going to go buy me a car and make sure I have a nice contract.
It's kind of scary.
Them T-shirts.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 2014, Koala Ehlers versus Gallegos.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Your last name is Ehlers?
Ehlers.
Ehlers.
Yes.
You have a son.
I do.
And he plays a sport.
He does.
What kind of a sport does he play?
He is in asphalt racing.
Is he on a team?
We have our own team. It's called Lionheart Racing.
And how many people are on the team?
He is the sole driver, but we have a pit crew of approximately 8.
And he doesn't wear a uniform. When he
wears
drives.
a race suit, yes.
He wears a race suit.
Correct.
So the T-shirts that you ordered from the defendant were for the 8 and crew.
It was to sell. My son has a congenital heart defect, and he was treated when he was very young at Chalk Hospital. So we sell shirts to donate the proceeds to Chalk Hospital.
To whom?
We sell shirts to fans, to the pit crew, to family, friends.
Well, pit crew is only 8 people. I assume you give them a shirt.
We do.
Yeah, of course. So the other ones you sell, if you could sell. How many years have you been selling these shirts?
2 years.
And last year, who made the T-shirts for you?
A place called Rush Order Tees.
Would you look that up, please?
Sure. It's an online T-shirt ordering.
And when they came last year, how many did you order?
We ordered 200 last year.
How many did you sell?
We sold all of them.
And how much were they? A piece?
They were $25 a piece.
To make?
To make 13, I believe.
So you were able to give a lot of money that year to your favorite charity.
Correct.
Why didn't you go back to Rush Order Tees this year?
Sonia, the defendant.
No, I'm asking you, were satisfied with your product?
I was. And I was actually in the process of getting ready to place a new order when I received a call at my office asking if I would be interested in placing an order with their company that was a local company.
And who did you get that call from?
Sonia.
That's you.
Yes.
How did you get the plaintiff's number?
I was making calls to local businesses listed as members of the Placentia City Chamber of Commerce. Her place of business, Impact Properties, came up as a member, and I made a call, and she was the one that answered the phone.
And what did you say to her?
I introduced myself, and I let her know that we are a screen printing business here in Placentia, and I was reaching out to local businesses to see if they would be interested in ordering custom T-shirts, and if not, at least to let them know that we offer those services for future reference.
How much did you quote her? That's $1 more than you had paid last year.
Correct.
Had you gotten a quote from Rush Order for this year?
Not yet.
Well, that would cut into your profit by about $200.
Except that I didn't have to pay shipping.
Rush Order isn't a large online reputable business for screen printing, bags, cups, shirts, things like that.
And you were happy with them last year?
Yes.
On what date did you place an order with the defendant's company for these T-shirts?
March 30th.
Do you have a written agreement?
I do.
May I see it, please?
I would like to note that the $14 quote was for 90 T-shirts, not 200. So that does.
I just want to see what the contract says. Okay. Yes, $14 was for 90. That was for short sleeved. Long sleeve printed was $16 plus tax. There's a setup fee, redraw artwork, extra large sizes. Well, this is not a signed agreement. However, the last sentence reads, by submitting your payment, you agree to these terms and conditions. You are verifying that all the information on the invoice is correct. You submitted payment.
I do have proof of payment, yes.
They don't dispute that you actually paid them because you had to pay them in advance.
Correct.
Okay, so this is a clear contract. And it's your claim that you were dissatisfied with the artwork, you had paid already, you want a refund, you did not use their T-shirts.
Correct.
And I believe you actually canceled or tried to reverse the credit card that you had used.
I tried to get a refund through PayPal, correct.
And according to you, that was denied because the defendant said that you had actually picked up the T-shirts.
Correct.
Okay.
And I have proof of that from PayPal.
I'd like to see that.
The incorrect logo was used.
Okay. Before I get into the substantive part of it, whether or not you like the artwork or not, who was contacted by PayPal? Which one of you?
That would be, he handled the PayPal claim.
I took care of PayPal.
You took the call, or did you just speak to PayPal verbally on the phone?
Both. We talked on the phone, and we also, PayPal documents our conversations via email through the website.
Did you tell PayPal that the plaintiff had picked up the merchandise?
Yes.
Well, that's not true.
It is true. She picked up the merchandise.
I don't believe that, sir. I believe she was dissatisfied with the merchandise. But unless you can prove to me that she picked up the merchandise, I don't believe that. Okay. Because she may be a tough cookie, and she may have gotten crazed with you and said miserable things about you in her review, but she would not be here today if she picked up the merchandise.
Her event was the next day. The day she picked them up, it was the day before her event.
Who gave it to her?
We gave it to her.
Not we. No, not we. Who gave it to her?
I gave it to her?
You're asking me a question, sir. You're asking me a question.
Her order was...
Just a second. You have a business?
Yes.
You're in a building. Is there a reception area in the building?
Yes.
Did you tell PayPal that they were picked up from the reception area in the building?
I don't recall.
I want you to think about it. I want you to think about it. Did you tell PayPal that they were picked up in a reception area in your building?
I don't recall if I said the reception area or my office. I'm not sure the terminology I used.
Well, what was it, reception area or your office?
My office is
that's a question.
Area. My reception area is in my office. I don't recall exactly what I told PayPal, but she did pick them up that day. And that's what I told PayPal.
No, I don't believe you.
Okay. That's what we're here for.
No, that's what we're here for. Because sizing her up, she's a tough cookie.
Yes.
And she, as I said, might have been dissatisfied with the logo, which I don't necessarily have to even go into now. What the screen was like, what the colors were off, or whatever it was, I don't have to go into that. Because if I believe that she did not pick up the merchandise, and you told PayPal that she did pick up the merchandise, she gets her refund back. Now, so I'm going to come back to you. You didn't like the way they looked.
Correct.
I don't care why. Did you have other shirts made?
I did. I have one of them here today.
Do you have an invoice for the other shirts? Who did you have?
May.
Well, that's about 30 days later. And did you sell them?
Yes, we did.
Okay. Pull up an order from your phone for Rush Order Tees, please. While you're looking at it, just tell me how much did you pay for them from Rush Order Tees and how many did you order?
It was just slightly over $2,000. I believe we ordered 110 T-shirts.
Okay. And you got them sometime in May?
Correct. I'm sorry, that was April 26th was the exact date.
May I see it, please?
There's my order.
It was 1828.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense.
Okay, so Mr. and Mrs. Gallagher, she ordered the T-shirts within a couple of weeks and got them from another company, which suggests to me that if she picked up your T-shirts, she would not have done that. Do you understand?
I don't.
Do you understand?
No, I don't. Because if she
you
ordered
may not,
200...
you may not like it, but ladies may be, to you, abrasive, because that's what you say in here. She may be abrasive, but she would not ask for a refund through PayPal if she had picked up. If she had picked up the merchandise, she would not have done that.
The previous year she ordered 200, and this year she ordered 100 from me, 100 from them, which same is consistent, 200 shirts.
I can answer to that if you'd like.
She picked them up.
No, she didn't. No, she didn't.
We ordered a smaller quantity this year because many of our friends had already purchased them the previous year.
Whatever. I don't believe that you picked them up. I believe that you got angry because they weren't exactly what you wanted. You looked at them, but there's no question that it was an easy answer for him to give when PayPal called and said she picked them up from the reception area. Okay, and I don't believe that. So you have to get your refund back because you were dissatisfied and because you lied. There was an incident between the plaintiff and your husband, and you came in. Did you say something to her?
Yeah, I did.
Don't.
I don't want to talk to her.
No.
Larissa Kuala-Ehlers claims business owners Ernie and Sonia Gallego owe for a refund on custom T-shirts. Ernie and Sonia are countersuing for defamation.
But that doesn't justify.
What?
We did do all the work. The printing is the very last part of the order. We did the graphic work. We printed samples. We went above and beyond to try to make her happy, and she was completely unreasonable. There was
listen, I said to you,
yeah,
she may be a completely unreasonable customer.
Right.
That's possible. Fortunately, I don't have to go into that because the reason your husband gave PayPal for not giving her a refund was because she took the merchandise. And I don't believe that. I believe she may have been, in your eyes, a totally unreasonable customer. And if your husband had said to PayPal, we were ready, willing, and able. We fulfilled our contract to the letter, and we could just not satisfy this lady. The merchandise is here, ready to be picked up. It was always ready to be picked up. He didn't. He told them she got it, and that was not true. And that, Miss Gallego, is why she gets her refund back.
Her event was the day before. We were on a crucial deadline. We have our employees working overtime, getting her job done. We have receipts of all the items that were printed, that were ordered. She came in the day before her event, picked up what we had completed. I had completed approximately 72 shirts. She took one box out of 2 that day. She was going to come back for the rest. She left with what she had for her event. She even posted pictures on social media of our shirts.
Oh, that I would like to see. Did you pick up any boxes from him?
I picked up no boxes. And the event that he's referring to, my son has a race on the second Saturday of every month. I had asked for those shirts to be ready by his April race, but because they were not, I didn't have shirts for him until the March race. Every shirt that you see in my social media or my son's social media is the shirts that we purchased from Rush Order Tees.
I'd like to see.
This is our sample picture.
No, I want to see what...
Oh, here.
Is that one of the shirts that you prepared for
This
her?
is on her social media account. And then this is also just the graphic work that we did on her social media page.
Which social media account?
I'll find out.
Did the graphic design work. All the logos she gave me were like different colors. They were full color. They had black backgrounds. I revised, redrew everything, and converted them all to white.
Just 1 second.
I did the graphic work, and they're all in PNG form, so all you have to do is change them
If
to
she
white.
did the graphic work, then why would she pay us to do the graphic work?
And I have an email printout of the graphic she submitted to us. Is not print ready.
Oh, I don't care about that. I'm not getting into those weeds.
I have copies of all of the JPEGs.
According to you,
yes.
I'm going to go back. He said that there were 2 boxes ready.
There were 2 boxes ready.
There's 2 boxes ready, but that wasn't all the shirts.
There was
2 boxes. The 2 boxes were not all the shirts. How many shirts were in a box?
72.
So what you're telling me is that she picked up 72 shirts.
Yes.
Okay. Go back and tell me. Just refresh my recollection as to what he said about the 2 boxes of shirts. Well, we had 2 boxes of shirts ready.
I didn't pick up a thing. They wouldn't even let me take a sample.
She took 1 box out of 2 that day. She was going to come back for the rest.
Were there only 2 boxes, or were there more than 2 boxes?
2 boxes.
Did you tell PayPal that she did not take half of the merchandise?
I told PayPal that we filled 72 pieces when I talked to them on the phone.
That's not what PayPal said to her, sir. That's not what PayPal said.
I'm not sure what PayPal said to her.
PayPal said that the merchandise was delivered to you.
Exactly
and you did not
what?
return. And it was not returned. But that's not true.
Exactly what I'm testifying here is what I told PayPal.
Well, then why wouldn't PayPal say to her, look, we don't know what the dispute is all about, color and everything else, but you're entitled to half your deposit back if you told her you only delivered half the merchandise.
The thing is, 100% of the shirts, there's 3 locations, a front, back, and a sleeve.
Listen.
We have everything's 100%, the sleeves are done. The 72 were printed 100%. We just had 29 shirts remaining, 28 shirts remaining.
I don't believe you, Mr. Gallego. She gets her deposit back. Now we're going to get to your counterclaim. Counterclaim is for $5,000 for defamation. So I'd like to see...
However, she's not allowed to say that my husband lunged at her and was aggressive. That's a...
I'd like to see it. And then I'll ask her about it.
And I've also included other reviews from other businesses that she's dealt with where it has the same MO. I spoke to another business owner.
Did Miss Gallego call you on your cell phone the day afterwards to apologize for her husband's behavior?
She called me that afternoon.
On your cell phone?
I believe it was on my cell phone, yes.
And this happened on April 26th of 2022?
It happened on April 8th.
Okay, so that would be in your phone log.
Should be, if I still have it.
While she's looking, Miss Gallego, after this incident, when she came in and had this acrimonious discussion with your husband, which is evidenced in this review, did you call Miss Ehlers? Did you call her?
I did call her.
Okay.
Yes, I did.
And that because that she can prove that you called her.
Yes.
Now, After this screaming match that she had with your husband, where she left your premises,
It wasn't
she
a
said,
screaming
just,
match.
she said that you came down for whatever reason. I'm just asking you things that can be proven.
Right.
What can be proven is after she stormed out that day, you called her the next day. I want to know what you're claiming you said to her the next day.
I gave her a call to smooth the situation over.
Just tell me what you said to her the next day. Hello, it's me from $5 school teas. It's Sonia.
Okay.
What did you say to her? Be careful.
I don't remember word for word, but what I do remember saying is that I apologize for how everything played out.
Okay. Okay, because there was an incident between the plaintiff and your husband.
Yes.
And you came in. Did you say something to her?
Yeah, I did.
Don't.
I didn't want to talk to her.
No. I think you got into a screaming match with her, and I think that your wife intervened that day, which is why she called her the next day to try to smooth things over. This is not a tea dance. This is not a tea dance.
Her custom T-shirt order. Ernie and Sonia say Larissa left a negative review and defamed them.
Okay, you came in the middle of the dispute.
Yes.
And in the middle of the dispute, you try to calm things down.
Yes.
Because she was screaming at him.
Yes.
And he was screaming at her.
No.
What was he saying to her? She was screaming at him, and what was he doing? Now, just remember, you called her the next day.
I did.
To apologize to her.
Not to her. I called to apologize for the entire situation from beginning to end.
But if what you're telling me is that the only one who was behaving badly was the plaintiff, that's what you're telling me. The only one that was behaving badly was the plaintiff.
She was out of line.
There's no question. There's no question. Actually, she acknowledges in this review.
But that's not the worst part of it.
She acknowledges in this review that she was out of line in screaming.
Yes.
And that's what you came into.
Yes.
So the only thing that you're disputing is that your husband was likewise screaming at her, answered her back.
He was not screaming. He was patient, and he was attempting to work it out with her. The only thing I remember him saying, and I can recall, is him saying, I'm trying to help you. I don't understand why you're acting this way. And I do recall him telling her that she was a bad person because she was.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, a person can only take so much.
I'm telling you, she says this.
Yes.
In her review. Okay. Now, you want me to look at other reviews that you wrote for a carpet company in 2021.
Yes, and I spoke to the owner.
Shh. Okay. First, she complained about a carpet company and the horrible service. They laughed at her and disrespected her. Okay. And then that was in 2021. That was a year before. Then she posted a review, according to the Times. Three complaints from somebody who lives a life in 6 years.
I have a copy of all of the 5-star reviews.
Okay, and this one said the owner wasn't interested in hearing her complaints. It was over the phone and hung up. That's 2015. Okay, she takes her reviews seriously. Now, you want to show me other reviews?
These are all of the 5-star reviews that I've done as well. Yeah. I'm an equal opportunity Yelper.
Just a second. Would you just show this to the plaintiff and make sure she agrees that those are hers? And then I'm going to have you show this to the defendants. Okay. Now show this to Ms. Gallego. All you have to do is look at them quickly. Yeah. Well, no, just a second. Yeah. You didn't look at them.
Oh, I was reading. Okay.
You don't have to read the whole thing. These are 5-star reviews.
Yes.
Count how many she did.
Yes, I see that there's a good...
So she takes her reviews seriously. It's not a pattern.
Right, but she's aggressive in everyone. Like I mentioned...
No, not aggressive in here.
Well, not in those.
Not aggressive. Not
the
in
negative
here.
ones, yes.
Not in here. And 2 of the ones that you gave me were over the phone. If I told you how many times my husband hangs up on people over the phone aggressively.
I understand, but name calling and belittling people and calling him
retarded,
stupid.
Just a second. All unladylike.
She attacked my faith.
Oh, listen to me. That's not what you're talking about, Mr. Gallego. You're talking about a lawsuit for defamation, that she posted something that was false on the internet. And I'm telling you it wasn't false because I think you got into a screaming match with her, and I think that your wife intervened that day, which is why she called her the next day to try to smooth things over. This is not a tea dance. This is not a tea dance. You understand? This is not a tea dance. I believe that she did not pick up her shirts. I believe that that's why your wife called her to try to smooth out that, as well as what had happened the day before. She behaved badly.
You're allowing a tyrant to get away with this.
I'm allowing a tyrant to get away with this?
She completely bashed us. She's lying. She picked up her order.
No, I don't believe that.
Your Honor,
She did not pick up her order, sir, even according to you. According to you, she only picked up a partial order. She picked up 1 box. That's according to you. That's not what PayPal. That's not just. No, I don't. Listen to me. So what you're saying is there were 2 boxes, not in half. The orders were not in half. You filled up 1 box and only there was a little bit of merchandise left in the second box.
Back for, yes.
Yeah, I don't believe you, sir.
Because
she gets her refund. She gets a refund. $16.93.
What about
Judgment
all
for
the
the
work that
plaintiff. Counterclaims dismissed. We are done here.
This court is adjourned.
She completely dismissed the way she treated us.
She absolutely made the right decision.
I've never dealt with a customer like this in my 25-year history. I went well above and beyond.
They're angry with me because I didn't like their work product.
Our work speaks for itself. Our history speaks for itself. We have clients that have been with us for years, and we'll just continue doing what we're doing.
You always get what you pay for. Make sure you're looking out for where you're doing business.
I really believe that she got aggressive with him when she went to pick up those T-shirts. She acknowledges she got aggressive with him. She says in her Yelp review, sorry to say that she became angry and agitated and started screaming at him, which he doesn't have to tolerate. I do believe that his wife intervened, as she said in her Yelp review, that his wife came in saying to his wife, I'm talking to her, not to you. I can
really heated moment.
I can actually see
Visualize
him.
it.
I can actually visualize him saying that. The problem is you have to make a judgment. And the judgment really was whether somebody who was aggressive, and she was, who knows her business, knows what she wants, runs a business, had ordered the shirts before, had ordered them for somebody else, was satisfied with the previous order because there was no negative review that they showed from that order. She may have been dissatisfied. She may have had just cause to be dissatisfied. But he lied when she said she picked up the shirts.
Just to prevent her from getting a refund.
From getting her refund. So I didn't believe that because I don't think that that woman would have been here if she had picked up the shirts. She would have been here. She would have said, I want a refund because here are the shirts. It's not what I ordered.
Exactly. It doesn't make sense.
It's usually not true.
Boyfriend, Derek Jones, for personal property.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2063, Martin versus Hancock Jones.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Martin, how old are you, sir?
I'm 46.
Who is this with you?
This is my girlfriend, Kimberly.
Case is not unusual, but sad. Mr. Martin, you had a long history of drug addiction.
I did.
From when to when?
From 2002 until December 1st, 2020. I've been clean for 2 years on the 1st of December.
Good for you.
Thank you.
Did you manage to get clean by going into a residential facility?
I did, yes.
How long were you in a residential facility?
I was in 23 days in an inpatient facility, and I was just over a month in an outpatient facility.
Are you currently working?
I am.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a production manager for a soap and bath bomb company.
How long have you been working for them?
A year yesterday.
Are you in touch with your folks?
I am.
Back in their good graces?
Yes, ma'am.
There was a time when that wasn't true.
Correct.
This is what I gather this case is about. Miss Hancock was your girlfriend?
Yes.
For how long?
We dated from November 2019 until April 2020. We separated for a few months and got back together in July 2020 and separated again in September 2020, so 7 months.
And it would be a fair statement, sir, that the reasons that you separated on both instances is because you relapsed into using drugs.
Yes.
And it would also be a fair statement that the first time you left the house at the defendant's request, you were unsuccessful permanently from ridding yourself of addiction, but you thought you were okay and you asked her to take you back.
Yes.
And she did.
Yes.
And you would have to acknowledge to me that made her, A, a forgiving person,
Very.
and someone who cared about you.
Yes.
I say all that to you because it's not my job today to exacerbate what appears to be a strained situation, which I assume from your papers has resulted in a final protective order in favor of Miss Hancock, keeping you away from her for how many years?
Permanently.
That was resolved, and it was resolved in her favor probably, and I don't know this for certain, probably with a plea from you.
Yes.
And when you enter a plea, the judge always asks you, you understand your right to have a trial, you have a right to examine witnesses, you have a right to call witnesses, and by making this admission, it is the same thing as a guilty verdict.
Correct.
Judge did tell you that.
Yes.
I assume. I mean, I remember making those statements many, many times a long, long time ago. I'm surprised I still remember any of it. And you're supposed to remain away from her.
Yes.
So the first question I have, well, I know why you're here. You're here because you say the last time she threw you out, and she threw you out not only because she found drugs that you were using again, but she had a fear that you were selling drugs out of the house, and she couldn't be involved with that, which is perfectly legitimate. You would have to acknowledge that.
Absolutely.
You'd also acknowledge, and I'm reading these papers sort of between the lines, your complaint, her answer, and the countersuit, that Miss Hancock had a child.
Yes.
A son.
Yes.
How old? When you were
15
living?
at the time.
And uber impressionable age, and the fact that you were abusing drugs in the house, it really exposed him to something that a teenager shouldn't be exposed to, because his mother has feelings for that person who's drug addicted.
Yes.
And I assume you had warm feelings at some point for this 15-year-old.
Absolutely.
At the time, your parents had asked you to leave the house.
I was living with my parents at the time. Jennifer asked me to move into the house because Mr. Jones had placed a GPS tracker on her car, and she was concerned about her safety with him.
So you were dating at the time?
Yes, I was living with my parents before I moved in, yes.
Okay. Was that a happy situation?
At the time it was, yes. It didn't get difficult to last.
Moved away from that. And when you moved in with Miss Hancock, according to you, you were not paying rent.
Correct.
You were, in fact, working.
I was.
And according to, that's what you say in your papers.
Yes, I bought things for the house. Yes.
Those were exactly the words that you swore to. You said, I also spent over $10,000 on things for her place.
Correct.
In lieu of paying to live there.
Correct.
What things did you buy?
I bought a dryer.
Dryer?
I put $1,200 into her son's Ford, fixing it. I bought...
Okay, so you paid for some things for her son. What else did you buy for the house?
We went to Costco several times and spent $1,000.
Okay, so you
towels.
went, just a second. Yeah. I'm not interested in Costco several times. Yeah. You know, you do use toilet paper, don't you?
Absolutely.
What else did you buy for the household?
I bought a battery for a Ford car. I bought a Keurig. I bought a rug, towels. I paid for the vacations while we were together. I bought some home lights for the outside.
Come on, keep going. What else did you buy?
And
what else did you buy for the house? So far, we're not close to $10,000.
That's all.
Well, you swore to the fact that you spent $10,000, that you bought things for the house in lieu of rent. So far, you've given me maybe $2,500.
Okay.
And that includes a couple of trips to Costco. So I want to know, what else did you buy for the house? Did you buy televisions for the house?
I bought televisions.
Just a second. How many televisions did you buy?
I bought two.
And how much were they?
One was $1,700, the other one was $500.
What else did you buy for the house?
Those are the only items I remember buying for the house.
Great. Now, what items do you claim that, because that's what this is about so far, what items do you claim that Miss Hancock kept that belonged to you when she told you to leave the second time?
I have text messages saying...
No, don't tell me text. I don't want to hear text messages. Okay. I want to hear what items you claim are your property that she kept when she told you to leave the second time. That requires things: a fishbowl, a guppy, a pair of shoes, a tie. And if you say any of those things, I'm going to throw you out of here because I don't waste my time over guppies.
Yeah.
So tell me what you are alleging that she kept.
2 TVs.
Okay.
An entertainment center.
Just a second. You didn't tell me you told me you bought an entertainment center. What did you pay for the entertainment center?
Originally, I paid $1,200.
What else?
I'm also asking for the return of a rehab center that she was kicked me out of, $2,500.
Oh, don't be ridiculous. Keep going.
Okay. And then 47 Nintendo 64 games.
47 what?
Nintendo 64 games.
So, Mr. Martin, because I'm going to make short shrift of this case,
Okay.
as you can see right now, and your girlfriend looks like a nice lady. I don't know why you're here. You seem to have problems with boyfriends. You got to start picking them better.
I do.
This one put a tracker on you. This one, you have a protective order permanently. You have to figure these things out before ultimately you get very hurt.
Brian Martin claims his ex-girlfriend, Jennifer Hancock, and her ex-boyfriend, Derek Jones, owe for personal property. Jennifer and Derek are countersuing for harassment.
Okay, so far, all the things that you told me that you bought for the house barely add up to the $10,000 that you swore that you purchased for things for the house in lieu of paying rent. Do you understand?
I do. If I may also add, when we were separated the first time, I sold my marital home for $47,000. I cashed it at my bank and I put it into an account with her that I was an authorized user on. I did not get that money back because she removed my name from the account. So that money also went to purchase things while we were together that were for the house. I don't remember specifically what we bought. It was close to $20,000 that wasn't returned.
But Mr. Martin, I can understand that. But you know, this is a court.
Okay.
This is not a guessing game. This is not a game show. If you're saying that because of whatever reason you put your money into an account that she had access to and you spent money together, I mean, it was a time that was a fog. Did Miss Hancock and or Mr. Jones ever return any property to you or to your parents' house?
They did on November 20th.
That was in 2021?
Yes.
What month in 2021 did they return things to your parents' house?
It was November 20th to the 21st during the night.
Were you present?
I was not. I did not live there.
So I would assume that you found out that that property was delivered to your parents' house from either Miss Hancock or your parents.
My parents.
And your parents aren't here today.
They are not.
Your girlfriend was not there when they were delivered.
I have signed affidavits from them.
From whom?
From my parents about the property.
Are your parents in any way disabled, or are either one of them in the military?
No, my father was in the military, no longer.
Well, that's the only reason you don't come in person to court if you're disabled, and I might accept an affidavit, or if you're unable to come to court by virtue of the fact that you're in the military. None of those things apply here, so I'm not taking any information that you have in an affidavit. Suffice it to say that they did, over a 2-day period, return a lot of property to your parents' house.
Yes.
And that, based upon my rough guesstimates, because you can't help me out anymore with that you swore in your complaint, Mr. Martin, that you spent in lieu of rent $10,000
Yes.
in the home.
Yes.
And that was specifically because you weren't paying any of the household expenses. Yes. And all of the things that you added up to me, I don't know what 47 video games are, but I assumed that the 15-year-old played them more than you did. She says they were gifted to him. I don't know whether they were or they weren't. Certainly, if you want them back. Do you still have any of the video games?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you want the video games, sir, or do you want to leave them where they are?
I would like them.
You would like them?
Yes.
Okay. Miss Hancock, I'm going to make this as easy as possible. I would like you, not the boyfriend, I would like you to pack up those video games. And do you live in the same town, area, whatever?
Close enough.
Is there a police precinct where you can drop them off?
Yes.
Do you know what precinct number that is?
I don't know the number, but I'm happy to drop them off at Bountiful City Police Department.
Got it?
Yep.
Within 5 days from today, package up the videos that you have. She's going to give you back your video, your 47 video games. Okay?
Okay.
Take a breath. You have to say it's over. Tell me about your new girlfriend. Are you living together?
We are, yeah. She's great. I love her.
She's great.
She's amazing.
And you're fine?
Yeah.
And you're working? You have to put a period to this.
Yes.
A real period.
I know.
Okay. Ms. Hancock, you and are you currently together, or is this an ex-boyfriend?
Ex-boyfriend.
Ex-boyfriend. Well, you seem to have problems with boyfriends. You got to start picking them better.
I do.
This one put a tracker on you. This one, you have a protective order permanently. You have to figure these things out before ultimately you get very hurt.
Absolutely.
I read not only your answer, and I've resolved Mr. Martin's claim. He is going to get all of his videos back. You know that Ms. Hancock and Mr. Jones have a cross-claim for harassment.
I do.
And that was not made part of the criminal case, any restitution.
No.
It was not. Did the district attorney request any restitution?
No.
Why not?
I was actually not involved. It was a criminal case, not a civil.
Well, you were the complainant in the criminal case.
The state of Utah is the one who filed it.
But you were the complainant. They may have filed it.
It actually says right here, state of Utah is the plaintiff.
Of course.
So,
I know that
I did contact the police and ask them to
So
do this.
you
Yes.
were the complainant.
Okay, yes.
You know, it's the state of New York versus John Jones. It's the state of Utah versus John Jones, but there has to be a complainant.
Yes.
Somebody who was robbed, somebody who was the victim of stalking, somebody who was the victim of an assault. That's the complainant. That's who
Yes.
you were.
Sorry, I misunderstood.
Did you ever ask the district attorney for compensation for lost wages or anything else that you suffered as a result of this stalking?
No, I was not aware I could actually do that.
Okay, well, that's not something that I consider, but there is part of your counterclaim that is particularly troubling to me. And it is your claim on the counterclaim that Mr. Martin, at some point, photoshopped pornographic pictures of you.
Yes. And I'm not sure when, because Derek found it and didn't tell me about it for a while because he was upset and he didn't want to upset me about it.
When did you find it, Mr. Jones?
That would have been after this first bogus stalking injunction he filed and lost.
Bogus?
He filed a fraudulent stalking injunction. He filed
Stalking?
Against me.
So it was after that? And that was May of 2021? I'm trying to tell Mr. Martin, and I don't know how to make it any more clear to him, that his path going forward has to be putting a period, that in this whole scenario, you were the culprit.
I did not do what they're claiming right there. Absolutely, 100%. I did not.
You did not?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Let us assume, Mr. Jones, that you found on your car a pornographic picture that had been photoshopped with Miss Hancock's face and someone else's body. I'm assuming for a moment that that's true. Not that I have to look at it. I assume for the moment that's true. What proof do you have that Mr. Martin put that on your car?
Well, the problem is I don't have any proof of that, but he had put other signs up. I have a police report. He was hanging signs on my property. He got arrested for doing that and tased.
Okay.
I mean...
What I'm asking you specifically, that's what I'm particularly concerned about.
We couldn't prove it was him. We couldn't prove it was him.
Okay, fine. Do you have a new boyfriend?
No, I do not.
In what month was the protective order made final?
May of 2022.
Other than this experience, what happened?
Oh, there's a fly.
There's a fly. Oh, Mr. Jones, I'm expert at flies. That's not coming. You have an attitude, and you're not a baby. I mean, it's not as if you're 21 years old anymore. And if you have that within you, to have bad behavior against another person, that's there. Either you have it or you don't.
Brian Martin has accused his ex-girlfriend, Jennifer Hancock, and her ex-boyfriend, Derek Jones, of keeping his personal property. Jennifer and Derek are countersuing, claiming Brian was harassing them.
Okay. Other than today's appearance, since that,
Yes.
Tell me when.
5/7/2021, we called the police.
No. Pay careful attention to my question, Mr. Jones. Between May of 2022 and today, have you had any contact with Mr. Martin?
Just his files, his claims. He keeps filing protective orders against me.
When was the last time he filed a protective order against you?
Well, he tried filing one a week before this, and I have that
A week
as well.
before what?
Before this case.
Okay.
And I have
What
that
date?
police report. They told him no.
Okay. So they didn't allow him to file it?
That one. But he's filed several others.
I'm talking about between May.
Nope, that's the last one.
That was the last one. I'd like to see it, please, Kevin. Mr. Jones, do you have a protective order in your favor?
I've tried.
Not tried.
No, I don't.
You do not. Okay.
Your Honor, I have a video of catching him stalking my house, hanging signs. We submitted that. We also have the police report that he was arrested that day and tased.
And tased?
Yep. I have that report right here as well.
I'd like to see it. Mr. Jones, I'm going to go back to just May of 2020. Since May of 2020, have you had any contact with him? The answer is either yes or no.
Yes.
When?
He's submitted letters to my family. He has emailed me.
I'd like to see the letters he submitted to your family.
These are some. He said, oh, there's more. These were cease and desist
Just
letters.
1 second. Just 1 second. What's this?
Mr. Jones texted me a text that says tweaker.
He took it to my rental.
What are you giving me?
These are letters he submitted to my houses or my rentals when he was trying to find me.
Just a second.
This was in relation. Mr. Jones had a temporary stalking injunction in place against him on February 7th, 2021. On May 5th, 2021, he was served that stalking injunction, and that is when the incident with the Bountiful Police took place that you're reading right now.
Mm-hmm.
He showed up to where I was getting my oil change. In addition to that, he has sent Facebook messages to my girlfriend that she's
I'm
here
going to
testify
tell you.
on.
I'm going to tell you that. You see how calm you are? Not him. You understand that? Not him. Probably not him, but definitely not him. And I'm going to just suggest to both of you that neither one of you want any other legal action. You already have a lifetime protective order issued against you in favor of Ms. Hancock. Yes. So I'm just telling you, I'd stay as far away from him, Mr. Martin, as I possibly could. Go a mile out of your way rather than go anywhere near where he is.
That's
fine.
That's what I'm doing
now.
now.
Mr. Jones, you have, and I've been around here for a long time, these kinds of buildings for a long time, you have an attitude. I can tell you have an attitude. And things may have been bad historically, but you know your behavior wasn't perfect historically. You would agree with that with Ms. Hancock, correct?
Oh, absolutely.
You would agree with that. Okay. And you're not a baby. I mean, it's not as if you're 21 years old anymore. And if you have that within you to have bad behavior against another person, that's there. Either you have it or you don't. And what I'm suggesting to you is that this is not going to be a good outcome if this animus continues. She's not your girlfriend anymore. He's got a new girlfriend. You don't have anything to do with him anymore. Nothing. If you have to travel a mile out of your way to avoid going anywhere where he gets lunch, coffee, a Jiffy Lube, or anything else, I would suggest that you do it.
I've done that. He keeps filing protective orders.
Good. Well, he can do that. So can you. And what I'm to try to temper it. If what you're going to do is to add fuel to this fire, then I think that it's really not a smart idea. The plaintiff will get his 47 videos back within 5 days. They will be dropped off at the local police precinct. What?
May I actually say there's only 21 that was ever given, so there's not 47.
How many do you have?
We have 19 of those games.
Okay, 19.
Yes.
You have any other property that belongs to him?
No.
No. Okay, we're done here. 19. 5 days. Police precinct.
This court is adjourned.
I'm disappointed because I've dealt with this man for over 2 years.
He's just jealous of my awesomeness.
I've moved on with my life. I have a new girlfriend, and I just want my things back.
Whatever. I just want him out of my life.
It's time to close the chapter. It's time to move on.
I never want to see him again. I never want to hear from him again.
People spend so much time with negative energy.
Oh, yes.
Sarah, the one thing that you and all other single people out there can take away from this case is that women are supposed to be smart. And clearly, she had a nose for bad boys.
Yeah.
Because according to what we heard, the reason she invited him to come and live with her is because the
different problem with a different
co-defendant, right, co-defendant, Mr. Jones, was really stalking her.
Mm-hmm.
And the same problem she had with the plaintiff. But stalking is an odd one. You have to be a little bit off to engage in stalking, to really terrorize somebody.
Especially to the level of legal action for stalking.
Yeah.
Because I know the standard for getting a restraining order, even a temporary one, is very high, the standard.
There has to be some pretty serious stuff that the judge reads. And he pled guilty.
Mm-hmm.
But Mr. Jones also acknowledged that he had not treated her well. So it's always sad to me when perfectly reasonable women, sometimes because of their need to nest, will choose subpar mates.
I think it's more important to hold on to your own energy than to allow it to seep into these negative wells that will just run you dry.
You're right.
For medical bills after being hit by a car.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case number 2020, Hildreth Mahasani versus Santiago.
Thank you. Miss Hildreth.
Yes.
Pronounce your last name for me, sir.
Mahasani.
Mahasani.
Yes.
You two were crossing the street in San Diego?
In Carlsbad Village.
Is that in San Diego?
It is. It's a suburb of San Diego.
Is that where you live?
Correct, in Carlsbad.
And you were hit by Miss Santiago, who was driving her mother's car.
Correct.
Miss Santiago acknowledges that she hit you. And you were seriously injured. You've had shoulder surgery. You were both injured.
Correct.
When did this happen?
This happened on Friday, September 4th, 2020.
I just have a couple of preliminary questions before I get into the facts of it.
Sure.
I assume that since this accident happened in 2020, that you tried to sue either the defendant and or her mother as the car's owner.
Well, we would have done so, but the driver was uninsured.
That's the question. You would have done so,
Yes.
except the mother had no insurance.
It is my knowledge that the mother had insurance, but and which I have the evidence, that her daughter was excluded from the policy.
The policy, and therefore the insurance company disclaimed.
Correct.
I'd like to see that.
Absolutely.
That's why your mother's not here.
No, Your Honor.
Okay, that's why your mother's not here, Miss Santiago.
Without her knowing.
Miss Santiago, that's why your mother's not here.
No.
Well, were you excluded from the insurance policy? That's either a yes or a no.
Yes.
Then you shouldn't have been driving the car.
Yeah, I know.
Just a second. Then you
I
shouldn't
know.
have been driving the car.
I took the car. Well, it was
I didn't ask
my
you a question.
responsibility,
I didn't
and I took
ask
the car
you.
without
Do you understand?
information.
They don't listen to you when I'm speaking. When I ask you a question, you'll answer me. I don't want to hear some pat answer. I want to hear a lot of I'm sorries. I want to hear a lot of I'm sorries.
Why would I say I'm sorry if they didn't pay attention when they were crossing?
You weren't supposed to be behind the wheel of a car.
Well, I was paying
You
attention.
weren't supposed to be behind the wheel of a car.
But why they didn't pay attention?
I'm not speaking to you. I just told you why. Why should I
There was
say I'm
no
sorry?
lights
Hey, be quiet. Why should I say I'm sorry if they weren't paying attention? Because you weren't supposed to be behind the wheel of a car. If you weren't behind the wheel of a car, whether they were paying attention or not would be irrelevant. You weren't supposed to be driving. She thinks you have a big mouth. You don't have a bigger mouth than me, madam. I guarantee you, the last person who drove yesterday that wasn't supposed to drive yesterday because they were drunk, killed
was not
6.
drunk.
Nobody's listening to you. When I'm speaking, nobody's listening to you. Killed 6 people. Last person who drove that wasn't supposed to be behind the wheel of a car killed 6 people. You were not. Hey,
drunk.
I'm speaking. You were not supposed to be behind the wheel of a car. Don't you understand that?
I understand
Are you
that.
stupid? You were not supposed to be behind the wheel of a car. You were an excluded driver, and you were an excluded driver for a reason.
Not only that, you're...
I just don't like stupid. Our investigation, which is after you notified the insurance company, determined that the driver of the insured's car, Jennifer Ramirez, was not covered by the policy. That's what you're telling me.
Correct.
I don't understand this. You were walking, correct?
Correct. Both.
What is this? Your driving privileges will be suspended on November 21st. What is that?
I think there was a misunderstanding that we were actually driving a vehicle. Yeah. And when I called the DMV and I explained that, no, we're actually pedestrians, then they said, oh, I'm sorry, disregard that.
Yeah.
Stupid.
And
do you have a letter from them indicating that this is wrong?
They just told me that we can disregard it, and they just corrected it. That's all they did.
And it was stopped because she was also unlicensed?
Just a second. I'm not there yet.
Okay.
I'm not there with Big Mouth. Okay. This happened on September 4th, 2020. What time of the day?
It was in the evening.
What time?
Was about 8 p.m.
It was, around 8 o'clock.
Light or dark outside?
Dark.
Is that a fair and accurate representation of the intersection where this happened?
It is, Your Honor.
Ms. Santiago, is that a fair and accurate representation of the intersection where this happened?
Yes.
So at the intersection where this happened, there were lines across the highway indicating pedestrian walkway.
Correct.
And there were 2 signs indicating pedestrian walkway.
There were 3 signs. One in the center median and one on each side.
On September 4th, Ms. Santiago, this requires a yes or a no answer from you. On September the 4th, 2020, did you have a valid driver's license?
Lisa Hildreth and Reza Mahasani claim 20-year-old Jennifer Santiago walked into oncoming traffic.
Now, on September 4th, Ms. Santiago, this requires a yes or a no answer from you. On September the 4th, 2020, did you have a valid driver's license?
I didn't, Your Honor.
I said it's either a yes or a no. Did you have a valid driver's license?
No.
Did you ever have a valid driver's license?
No.
Do you have a valid driver's license today?
No, Your Honor, because they...
That's a no. What's your name?
Vanessa.
What?
Giles.
Stand up. Did you come with her today?
Yes.
How did you get here?
I drove. My license.
Just a second. You drove?
Yes.
In whose car?
My car.
What kind of car is it?
Kia.
Did you ever drive with Miss Santiago?
Yes.
When? Did you ever drive in a car where she was the driver and you were the passenger?
Yes.
When?
September 4th, 2020. 2 years ago.
Other than September 4th, 2020, did you ever drive with Miss Santiago where you were the passenger?
Yes.
When?
September 4th.
I said other than September 4th.
No.
Other than September 4th.
Other than that, no.
On September 4th at 7 p.m. 7 p.m. Where were you?
We were at the beach. Carlsbad Beach.
You were at the beach. Who else was at the beach?
Santiago and another friend. He's a minor. He's 16.
There were 3 of you at the beach. Anybody else that you knew at the beach?
No.
How long had you been at the beach?
Like for an hour.
So you got there at 6 o'clock in the evening?
We got there at 7. We were going back home at 8.
So you got to the beach at 7. What did you do at the beach at 7 o'clock?
We would just...
Santiago pick you up, or did you meet at her house? Just think, take a breath. Did you meet at her house, or did Miss Santiago pick you up?
She picked me up.
How far do you live from her?
2 minutes away.
And what about the 16-year-old minor?
3 minutes away.
Did she pick up the 16-year-old minor?
Yes.
How old was Miss Santiago in September of 2020?
18.
Are you a good friend of hers?
Yes, I am.
You knew she didn't have a driver's license?
Yes.
Did you know why she didn't have a driver's license?
She was still studying for a test.
Had she taken the test before?
Yes, she has.
She had taken the test before.
Yes.
Do you remember how many times?
Yes.
How many times did she take the test?
2 times.
And the 2 times she took the test, she failed it?
Yes, she did.
Okay. So now she's driving without a license because she's failed her driving test twice at the time of this. So she's studying to pass it maybe for the third time, right?
Yes.
And now we have 2 years later, she still doesn't have a driver's license.
Yes.
Do you know why?
No.
Well, you're her good friend. Didn't you ask her? Well, it's 2 years later. Did you ever pass your driving test?
She hasn't yet.
Sit. Now tell me what happened at 8 o'clock on the 4th of September, 2020.
I have pictures if you like, and would it be okay to approach the screen to show you better?
No, it's not necessary. You were crossing the street.
Correct.
In a crosswalk, she hit you.
Correct. We were.
You
That's what
crossing
happened.
the street in a crosswalk, and she hit you.
Yeah. So we had come to the crosswalk sign on the left side of the photo. We pressed the button. It illuminated the flashing lights to indicate that it was okay to cross. We looked to the left. Those two cars were already parked. We proceeded to the middle and noticed that the car in the furthest lane from us, that car was already.
Hey, don't
Wait till
speak.
you guys
Hey,
cross.
listen,
Or you
for
were paying
someone
attention.
who can't take and pass a driver's test 3 times, at least I would keep my mouth shut until I look at you for an answer. Do you understand?
Yes.
And it was estimated by the officer that we.
No. She hit you in a crosswalk. That's a crosswalk. This young lady knew I'm not. Did you hear me? I'm not speaking to you. You don't understand this was a really bad day for this kind of case to come into court. You do understand that?
Yes.
Okay, good. And you know why this is a very bad day for your case to come into court?
No.
Then you don't read the newspapers. I suggest if you read the newspaper, maybe you would be able to pass your driving test. Because either you failed the written portion or you failed the driving portion, one or the other. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good. Now we understand each other. Now you're almost at I'm sorry. You're almost at I'm sorry. When the defendant's car struck you, where did you land?
I have photos to show.
I'd like to see it.
It kind of shows on the second photo there.
Oh, you hit her windshield. Who hit her windshield?
We
Is that
both
you?
did,
Both.
Your Honor. And the hood.
That's not true. I only saw that her husband, that he hit the shield. It wasn't her.
What an idiot. Kevin, can I see the police report, please?
Sure.
See?
I'd also like you to show her these. I just want her to take a look at them. To know what happens when you act irresponsibly. And you do things that you're not supposed to do, like take a car and drive it when you have no license, when you failed your driving test twice.
Lisa Hildreth and Reza Mahasani are accusing 20-year-old Jennifer Santiago of hitting them in a crosswalk while she was driving without a license.
Okay, your last name is?
Giles?
You spoke to the police that day.
Yes, I did.
I don't know what you're doing here as a witness. She stated she did not see what happened. That's what it says here.
Yes.
Now, just a second. That's what it says here. Uncross your arms. Now you can sit down. Gillis stated she did not see what happened. However, she identified Miss Santiago as the driver. And then there was a witness. Witness 1 stated she was riding as a passenger in a vehicle driving northbound on the 3100 block of Carlsbad Boulevard. The 2 plaintiffs were crossing the road in a marked crosswalk on the south side of the intersection of Carlsbad Boulevard and Oak Avenue. The 2 were crossing from the west side of the street to the east side of the street. The yellow warning lights next to the crosswalk were flashing.
They were not.
Witness 1 observed Plaintiff 1 driving northbound towards the crosswalk at a fast speed. She drove through. I'm speaking, not you.
I was not.
I'm speaking, not you. I'm reading from a statement in the police report from a witness who stopped when this accident happened that you don't know. Neither do you. Okay, so now we have a witness who neither one of you know, who said the yellow lights were flashing, even if they were the officer who did a blood test there for alcohol. States as follows. During the investigation, P1, that would be you, displayed objective symptoms of intoxication. I noticed her eyes were slightly red and watery. Her speech was very quiet. I determined P1 was under the influence of cannabis.
That's not true, Your Honor.
Just a second. Do you have any supplementary police reports?
The only other thing that I have from the officer is an email that he...
No. Okay. An email to whom?
An email from the police officer to us.
I'd like to see it.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what you said to the police officer was, and the police officer responded to you, that the report came back negative.
Correct.
And he said, I'm not changing it. Therefore, it's not a criminal matter. You have to sue her civilly. Correct. Because clearly the accident was her fault.
Correct.
Were you taken to the hospital that day?
We both were.
And you were taken to jail?
Yeah.
When was the last time you took a driving test? Month and year?
I haven't taken no driving test.
When was the last time you took a driving test, madam? You failed twice. So I want to know when the last time was that you took a driving test.
I can't remember. It was a long time ago.
Did you take a driving test in the year 2021?
Yeah, I did.
Did you pass that driving test?
No.
Was that your third before 2020?
No.
So I asked you, in 2021, did you take it? You said yes, you didn't pass it. And I asked you, was that the third or the fourth test that you had?
That was my second.
No. I don't know how much more that a court system can do, but to say to people who don't have driver's licenses, especially in your case where you tried to get a license but failed to pass on at least 2 occasions before this incident, which means that you were a risk to be on the road because you couldn't pass a driving test twice before this incident. Now, you want to tell me whether you, and this requires a short answer, not one of your long ones. Did you have your mother's permission to take the car that day to pick her up and go to the beach?
No.
Have you ever had your mother's permission to take the car and go anywhere?
No.
So in effect, if you had no license and you didn't ask for permission, then you stole the car.
No.
What do you mean no? You
did.
didn't have permission of the owner to take the car. You weren't a licensed driver. Therefore, there was no insurance. Well, let's go back. Did you ever ask your mother to use the car?
No, not at all.
And what happened after you had this accident in your mother's car and after you got out of jail? What happened between you and your mother?
Well, she was sad because I was in jail. And, well, she was also mad because, like, why would I take the car without her permission?
Why did you take the car without her permission?
Well, I honestly didn't thought that this would happen.
Nobody thinks that an accident is going to happen. I don't think you intentionally hit these 2 people.
No.
I don't think you intentionally.
Before I told them that I was sorry, and I'm telling them again that I'm sorry.
Good. That's better. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $10,000. We're finished.
This court is adjourned.
Well, I'm really pleased with the judge's decision.
I didn't see anything until the guy hit the windshield.
We have a young child, so we understand that the driver was young and mistakes happen.
I started screaming and I was scared.
For about 3 hours in the hospital, I didn't know if she was going to live or die, basically.
I was so scared, like I just stayed there. I was in shock.
It's been rough.
I told them that I was sorry that the accident happened.
I had like internal bleeding in my arm. I have loss of range of motion in my hand.
Well, I didn't even went to see them because I was so scared.
It was the unluckiest day and the luckiest day of our life. So we're here and we're grateful for that.
I was super scared, like I was like, I killed them, like I was crying in jail.
We both have to deal with physical injuries, but like Lisa said, it was the unluckiest and luckiest moment of our life, so we're grateful that we're here.
Being pretty close to 18 myself, I can understand driving my father or mother's car and maybe not understanding if they had insurance or me not having insurance myself. So I could understand and sympathize maybe with not knowing whether a car was insured or not. But you know for sure if you went 1 time, 2 times, 3 times and did not pass a driver's test and you don't hold a license in your wallet, at 18, you know whether or not you have a license, and that's unacceptable.
Yeah.
No one expects an accident. That's the point.
Phần hoa đã được tô xong, giờ mình sẽ tô phần cành và lá. Mình đã tô xong phần cành, giờ chúng ta sẽ tô 2 chiếc lá siêu to. Okay. Rau đào, bông sen đào, chiếu bao nào, everyday. Đây là thành quả bức tranh tô màu ngày hôm nay của mình nhé. Nếu mọi người thấy series này hay thì hãy ấn like, share và ủng hộ cho mình những video này nha. Video của mình đến đây là kết thúc rồi. Xin chào và hẹn gặp lại các bạn nhé.